What's up, everybody? Welcome to the TruthSeekah and Arien podcast. My name is TruthSeekah.
My name is Arien, and we are excited and delighted to have you here.
Does she sound excited, or does she sound Mumfrey?
Mumphrey? What?
What's the word?
That's not it.
Mumpy.
Mumpy?
I have no idea. This is not how you start a podcast.
You know what? I don't care what people think anymore. I am what I am, accept it or not.
You don't care what Jesus thinks.
I do care what Jesus thinks.
What do you think he'll think of our upcoming retreats?
He's going to be there, so he must think it's pretty awesome.
Jesus is going to be at our retreat.
Yeah, we're bringing him with us.
Who else is going to be there?
Corinne Grillo, our awesome friend, is going to be there.
Because she's a host.
Yeah.
Yeah. And guess what? The listeners, you are going to be there. If you so desire, if you want to be a part of our retreats, which they have been getting better and better, and now we're introducing concerts in our retreats. We do TruthSeekah and Arien concerts at the end of the retreat. We did our first one, which was amazing. Arien freaking grabbed the mic and finessed it and was dancing, and it's all etherical and magical. So we're going to be doing that, but it is June the 12th through the 15th. What all are we going to be doing?
Oh, I can't tell you everything. I got to leave some things for surprise, but we're going to be doing cacao ceremony, concert.
By surprise, she means mushrooms.
Oh, no.
No.
Anyway.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Surprise,
mother.
You just go ahead. Go for
mushrooms. Nah, there's an add-on day with mushrooms. That's why I'm being joking. People are asking about the plant ceremony thing, and so there's an extra day that's an add-on, mushrooms.
Yeah.
So if those who want to be a part of that ceremony that Corinne Grillo is leading, and you're there and you want to do that, you can get that add-on.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The usual: prayer, meditation, cacao, sound healing, singing bowls, concert, communing with nature, learning about sacred communion and what it really means, because it's not really the shameful thing that we've been taught in church. It can be joyous and ecstatic, which is why we named it Ecstasy.
What is Ecstasy?
Well, it's a state of ecstasis, which is spiritual ecstasy, joy, bliss, laughter.
Do you have to take anything?
No.
Really?
No, you don't have to take anything. You can get there on your own with your breath, with just bringing your body and your breath and connecting to spirit that way. You don't have to have anything outside of yourself.
Yeah, so tickets are available at www.seer.school or truthseekah.com. Spaces are limited. There's different packages available if you want to stay on site or if you want to camp, all that cool stuff. Make sure you go and check it out. We're not trying to convince anybody of anything. If it's for you, you already know there's a stirring in your spirit and you want to be there, and you got to figure out how. Go to seer.school, get a ticket, and we can't wait to give you a big hug.
And right now, the early bird pricing is still active. Depending on when this comes out, it'll probably be around a week or so. It'll be ending.
Only a couple of days.
Yeah. So you need to get on it if you know it's for you.
Oh, we're going deep into nature. We're going deep into talking to God through nature, through the plants, through the trees, through the birds, all that kind of stuff.
Stars.
And, stargazing. Part of I'm doing a workshop webinar teaching on how to film cloud entities and UFOs and those things with your cell phone, be able to catch it on cell phone where anybody can do it. And that's going to be fun. I've been able to just walk people through the process and online, and people send me videos of their stuff just freaking bugged out. And most of the time their footage is way better than mine, at least their location or whatever. They're capturing some really wild stuff in our skies on camera, which is pretty fun. But we're going to be doing that. So
yeah. So bring your cell phones.
Yeah.
Maybe a laptop if you have one.
Divine ecstasy. It's religious ecstasy, ecstasis, ecstasia. It's mentioned of in the Bible. Holy laughter, a feeling of the bliss and divine awe and wonder, bewilderment, to be outside of oneself.
Yeah.
We have a guest today in the studio, Reggie. Have you ever felt that any of that? Have you ever felt religious ecstasy, a state of bliss where nothing else matters, where there are no bills, where there are no arguments, no worries, it's just pure bliss and euphoria that can last for a moment or can last for days. Have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely. Several times, man.
Heck yeah.
Several times.
Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, man. How you doing?
How you doing?
It's good to be here,
tell
man.
us about the religious
man, it's
experience.
so good to be here. What's up, brother? Well, I don't know, man. I could tell you one experience that stands out to me. You want to talk about like euphoria and bliss. The year was 2012, and that was a really tough year, man. Lost my youngest child that year, and I was married at the time. My marriage started going through some hell, and I went out under the stars one night after a really intense argument with my now ex-wife. And I went out under the stars and just kind of started what I think the scriptures might talk about, crying out to God, like literally like your soul is just like open, raw, just saying, here I am, just dedicate my whole life to chasing after a being that I don't even know if you exist. And I remember like I got to that point and I fell down on my face in the field next to my house, and I just had grass in my mouth and everything. Like I was like completely undone, sobbing. And I remember I felt, and the best way I know how to explain it is if it was like a breath, like it just kind of went, and just came over me, washed over me from my head all the way down to my toes. And I didn't hear an audible voice, but I felt as true as I've heard anything, the words, I love you. And I remember like at that point, that was a time I don't know if you remember back around 2012, 2011, there was a YouTube channel came out called Spirit Science.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shout out to Jordan Rivers. Yep.
Yes. And I had been watching some of that, but he was, I remember he was talking about a lot of things in there. And I remember at that moment just feeling that unconditional love, right? And that peace and that presence that is like nothing else mattered, dude.
Yeah.
And I ended up like sitting there in that field. I don't know how long I sat there.
Man.
And I remember like some of my neighbors come walking by and they saw me just sitting there. And they were like, you okay, dude? I'm like, yeah, I'm good, man. Like I went from feeling like my whole world was falling apart to
it's okay.
Everything is okay.
Yeah.
And I keep... So, like, anytime I ever have a conversation with anybody that's like, hey, man, how do you know God is real? I said, that's my God moment.
Because everything's okay.
Like,
that's how I know God's real.
Dude, I said, I don't know how to explain it. It's an experience that if you don't ever experience it, then it's just words,
Man, why you had to start off getting so deep for it to make me cry?
Well, you asked me, dude. You asked me.
I want something funny, man. I want to, I was singing, went to a Toby Mac concert. And Toby Mac sung this song, and I just felt spiritual ecstasy. It was so awesome. I thought we were gonna get something like that.
No, dude, I went right for the top. I went for the right for the top of the pyramid, dude. Yeah,
man. And it hits home, and it's sad because there's a lot of people going through it, like what you went through, and they don't feel that religious experience. They don't feel that release. They still feel that hell, and you still feel it too. I know it's there. They say I'm done. It's okay. Like it's still there's a balance, and there's a chaos, and there's a lot of stuff and a lot of feelings, mixed feelings, But there's a lot of people going through it, man, right now.
Yeah,
and it's.
I'm not saying that I deserved it either, to be honest with you, dude. Like I was like out there calling God out. Like I'm gonna try not to get emotional, dude, because this hit. But I was like, dude, I came here because I felt like you brought me here. I left. I was living here where you. This is where I met you, here in the Mobile area, And I left. I was happy here.
Yeah.
And I thought I was following God. Went to a place. Went to a different state, and just everything started falling apart. And that was when you hear people talk about dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
That's where I was at. And I've been through a lot of stuff since I moved to the Atlanta area, but at the end of the day, like nothing compares to how alone I felt when I was living there. And so, like I said, I don't know that I can't sit here and say that I had a special formula worked out. All I know is that, man, dude, I just had come to the end of it. And I was like, it's one of those moments like, God, give me something or I'm going to just have to walk away, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it was literally like, he just kind of looked down and went, I mean, and that's all it takes for him. But boy, it'll change the whole world, dude.
I heard the same story recently from like this big podcaster. Literally the same story on the J- George Janko show,
Mm.
and the dude said the same story, and but that situation and circumstance made him become an atheist, because like I devoted my life to following you, so I felt like I had this protection. I felt like my marriage was going to be okay. I felt like everything's going to be okay because I don't sin and I follow God. I read the Bible. I go to church. I serve at church. And then my wife cheats on me. And then this happens and stuff. And it's like all these bad things happen to me. So it obviously, shows a lot of things, but maybe it shows that, the person was following God so that he would have some kind of a backup plan that didn't work, that God isn't, he doesn't guarantee, like none of those things are guaranteed. You have to
Right.
work at all of those things, if you will.
Right.
But it's beautiful that you're still here and you still have a peace in you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's
Moving forward.
yeah. You and I, we stayed in touch over the years, and you and I both have been on a interesting journey, and it seems like we have a lot of parallels. So I can remember conversations with you back around
We're
2013.
gonna get into them.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna get into them.
But it's interesting looking at the journey you go on, and that piece. It's not something that he like deposits in you, and it's just like, okay, I guess a lot of people they want that thing that's like that final deal, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh well, I had it way back then. Anytime I doubt it, I just go back to that moment.
Yeah.
It's not like that, so I don't want to kind of misconstrue it like,
Mhm.
oh, I had it then, so I know God's real. No, it's something that continues, it perpetuates.
I thought I had it then. It's probably a better way.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people that might say, yeah, I had an experience, but now I
Yeah.
don't feel anything, right? So they might be at a different point, in their belief system and things like that.
You mentioned the dark night, going through the dark night of the soul. I remember, like, as a badge of honor, oh yeah, my come to Jesus moment, man, was the dark night, man. I went through hell and I had demons. I was possessed by demons. And it was the dark night. So I experienced the dark night. And then, 10 years, 15, 20 years later into walking with Christ, you're like, oh, that wasn't, that was a dark night. You're going to have a dark month. You're going to have a dark, year,
Season,
a
yeah.
season of darkness. Are you ready? And it's like, oh my God, I thought I knew. You had nothing to judge it off of
Right.
until you go through that.
Yeah, I know. Before we actually listened to the audiobook of Dark Night of the Soul, I just thought it was kind of like a night, literally like a 24-hour period, like you just hit this rock bottom low or something. But it's really a process that goes on your entire life, really. I mean, you're always in the process of getting out the darkness and getting out the bad things that are in you and exchanging it for light. But it's always, the title's misleading. It's not just a dark night. It's
That's right.
Your whole life is this dark night. But the more work you do and the deeper you go into getting the darkness out, the parallel is the ecstasis and the light gets brighter.
Mm-hmm.
So the contrast becomes greater.
Almost seems like you could tap into it more readily, I guess.
It can't. Like these tears and stuff, like they're new. Like there's a depth to them. I sharing my testimony, like I've shared my testimony hundreds of times, but then like here recently, when I start talking about Jesus, like I can't not cry. I don't know why. Like it's just, it just hits differently now. Sharing the same stories, maybe stories we used to laugh about, and then you were like, man, I missed that story, man. That was a beautiful time in my life. Or, just all of these things, there's reasons to what we choose talk about communion and communion and the word Eucharist or Eucharisto. It means to find gratitude in something. And it's like, can you go through the BS, the dark night, and find something that you can touch that's going to bring you gratitude? Can you look back at your marriage? Can you look back at your childhood and be like, man, I'm thankful for that?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people can't.
Yeah.
And that's what separates the sheep from the goats, is the fact that we can, and we're going to. You shouldn't. You should be mad. You should be angry at God. You should be like that dude on the podcast. You should be an atheist. F God. Curse God and die, like Job's wife said. It's like, nah, I ain't that stupid. Like, I know that this experience, whatever it is, has been a blessing.
Right.
And, why is it going to change now?
That's what faith is, man. It's believing when you can't see it in that moment.
I keep going back when you mentioned the gratitude in the Eucharist, I keep going back to gratitude is like the gateway of opportunity, right? And it goes hand in hand with faith, right? Like I don't know if you can really truly have faith if you don't have gratitude rooted in you somewhere, right? It takes that to make it work, right? And yeah, and find it whenever for me, there is a temptation to get angry at God, right?
For sure.
There have been times where you're just like, God, WTF, what's going on?
Yeah.
But then there's, if you have that gratitude present, it's like, if I know that every good and perfect thing comes from him, and all the good stuff I've been thankful for, then if something doesn't go my way, that doesn't trump all the good.
Yeah.
Like all the good just kind of, it's like, no, you know what? I ain't going to put that on God. I'm really not.
We start putting all the good, all the bad things on God, but not the good things. That's one thing my pushback against a lot of atheists lately. It's like, they want to blame God for all the bad, but they want to take credit for the good.
That's
like,
right.
Hold on.
That's right.
How about if you're going to blame God for the bad, why don't you blame him for the good too?
Yeah.
Or if you're going to take credit for the good, why don't you take credit for the bad? Because vice versa, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've explored it, and it's just I can't personally go there. It's like, and I've had conversations with atheists that are very close to me, and they'll be militant, and they'll say things like, I think it's all made up. I don't think God's real. Blah blah blah. I'm cool, whatever. But then whenever I mention it, then it becomes combative. I'll be like, and I just said, look,
yeah,
dude,
yeah. When you push back a little bit,
I'll say, look, dude, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'll fight you over something else. But when it comes to God, even if God exists within the consciousness of mankind alone, I'm sorry, even if God exists within the consciousness of mankind alone, God exists because of how many people believe in God. And I said, even if God exists as a concept,
yeah,
it is so. And we get into the power of belief, which I know I don't want to like get ahead of the cart ahead of the horses here, but that's what it comes down to for me. It's like,
yeah,
dude, your problem, if God didn't exist, you wouldn't have such a problem with him.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Man, just think of this, like the old cartoons, like Scooby. I don't say Scooby Doo because that was fake. Like, there was a lot of fake stuff. But think of a ghost, and you couldn't see the ghost unless you had a sheet. The ghost had a sheet on it.
Yeah.
If you pull that sheet off that ghost, you couldn't see the ghost.
See.
So it had to have a container. It had to have something that gave it its form. So this idea of God, like the belief of God, and we say, well, Jesus is God, brother. It's like, it doesn't get any deeper than that. It doesn't. It's like, no, like, you're right. He is. But like, that is to, denounce or say that every other concept of God or belief or perception of God is wrong. No, it's like the simple fact that you have the perception that there is a God, like, creates it and allows you to experience it because you give it a form.
You think that maybe religion can be a sheet?
Oh, for sure.
Is that what? Just make sure I'm understanding, because I think that's where my mind went.
Yeah. Like, well, it's religion or even and everything in religion.
I'm not saying that religion's bad. I'm not saying sheets are bad. It helps us see,
for sure.
But
if you want to see,
yeah. Like if you need to see it and you don't just want to use the other senses or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what the sheets are there for, right?
Yeah. Well, you need that to encounter it. Like, we need Jesus to be a man who was touched by our infirmities. We need him to look a certain way. I have a picture of, a guy, that's not Jesus, but to us, to me, it is. He don't look like that. This picture of these saints here right behind me too. This is Agape, Pistis, Sophia, and Elpis, right? And those are personifications. Those aren't real women. Like, most likely those women never existed.
Right.
But they're celebrated in the Catholic Church, the early church, and other mythologies, but they embodied them as real people, so that because you're a real person, at least you think you are, right? And so it allows you to be, well, if they went through it through prayer and they made it through, then I can too. So it's these stories and encouragements, these cloaks and things that they wear, and they're literally wearing sheets, linen clothing, right? That allows you to encounter them and to, remember their story to get some type of energy or some type of Eucharist from it. Say, well, if God did it for them, he could do it for me, and which is true if you believe it, and so there's a beauty to religion, especially when you use it for the good of mankind, which is which I think it was supposed to, it's using, this is the definition of magic or white magic, is using the forces of nature and the power of God for the good of mankind. And so I think that's what religion is supposed to be.
Yeah. Another way to look at it too is that we are those containers. Like, we always say Christ is in all and through all, and Jesus doesn't have thumbs. We say that a lot.
Yeah, that's what we say.
That we get to be his hands and feet, and we get to hug people, and we get to perform sound baths for people and sing music for people and
do podcasts and try our best to encourage people.
Yeah. So that we get to be that container.
You get to create the best version of yourself and then give that, or create someone you're proud of and give that person to the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and our religious response is some kind of Jesus, right? You're like trying to be Jesus to you. I'm trying to walk in compassion and love, and those are the qualities that I find in him that I've got. He has tons of more qualities that we don't even know because we haven't put a sheet on it. Like we haven't been able to experience it yet, unless you go through the dark night, unless you piss him off. You're like, oh, he doesn't get pissed off. Want to bet? Like unless you hurt one of his sheep, unless you cause one of these little ones that believe in me to stumble, and then you're gonna see what the backhand of the Lord looks like. It's these different sides of God. All of it's God. It's just parts that we haven't experienced.
So you want to learn. You want to learn more about God. Look within. Examine yourself. It's one thing I've learned, and it's not to bring God down. It's actually just realizing we're made in his likeness.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and they were, I don't know how we got on it. So somebody got in a fight and they got arrested, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well.
You did, and what'd you do?
Oh, I said, what I said was, I said, there are very few things I'll go to jail over, but I said, and I think we might have been talking about fighting over a female or something. I said, there are two women in this world I go to jail for, and that's my mother and my daughter. And so that right there, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, if I was married, my bride. So that right there, it kind of gives you some insight into what's right.
Gives you some insight.
That's what I'm saying. It gives me, not you. But
yeah. Because I'm like, man, I don't care about women or
whatever, dude. Whatever.
I'm not going to jail for nobody, man. Damn.
Okay. All right. You say that. But
Minister Firm.
I'll tell you right now that there are two people that if someone messed with, I know that I'd be like, that's okay.
I'll go sit in jail.
I've already had that conversation with myself. It's okay. I'll go to jail.
And then so now you believe in that God would do the same for you.
I think
that if somebody messed with you and
you see God, you see that God can, he's God. He writes the rules. So saying that he breaks the rules is kind of an arbitrary thing, right? But watching, the way that humans act whenever it comes down to doing what is right for those that they love. Yeah.
Or doing right for those that they don't love. Even deeper.
Sure.
We turn it up.
Right. Yeah, and there might be an incident where you just see injustice being done, right? Yeah, but I just know personally the conversations I've had with myself, there might be something that it just happened so fast, and then somebody's like, Reggie, what were you thinking? I'll be like, dude, I just wanted to do the right thing.
I could not. I could not.
Yeah.
Like, how could anybody? And that's the weird thing too of like the Matrix of like, how can we look around and like nobody's saying anything against injustice, or you guys are letting this stuff go on and turn a blind eye to it, which is essentially who and what the character of Jesus is and did, right? No matter where he went. And that's what got him in trouble. It's like he's walking by these, Pharisee religious pious figures who are about to stone this woman caught in the act of adultery. He was like, man, I know you. I know your family. I know that you commit adultery. I know y'all are about to kill. Like, hold on. Like, there's got to be a better way.
They would say to themselves, like, if he knew what kind of woman this was, he wouldn't even touch her. And he wouldn't allow her to touch him, and things like that. And he's like, yeah, I do know what kind of woman she is.
You don't.
You don't. I know her future, her past, her present. You don't.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to take into consideration, man.
It's so beautiful. Christ was a portal. He is a portal. He's a doorway. And to read in the Word when it talks about that He's the way, the truth, and the life, and you can only come to God, come to the Father through Him. To read that, and you see that He's opening a new door by saying that He's the way that people used to get to God was following the rules by the letter, by the law. Like, they were stoning that woman because it said somewhere on a tablet that you should stone a woman caught in the act of adultery. But the new law of love, He was able to flip it. And like, if you kill her, you should just kill yourself because you're guilty of the same crime. Like, He became a new door for people who were excluded, who are counted out, the lepers, the people caught in the act of adultery, the tax collectors, all the people who couldn't access the only door to get to the Father. He opened a new door for them.
Because they're looking for a literal door. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even think that, like, because He said, no new law I give unto you. I'm not like destroying all this and cut. There's a new way. He's like, y'all just don't know what you're reading. Y'all don't know how to interpret. Y'all thought this literally meant to go out and stone people. This meant that you have a heart of stone and you need to break it. Like, there's some deeper spiritual understandings that you always projected on others. None of that was about anybody else. All of that was about you and God. You are the you are the enemy. You are the good guy. You're all of it. You're God's beloved. You are the one that the son that is loved and the son that is rejected. You are, and you experience and feel all those things, but yet this weird self-righteousness, as we're separated from God, but not really, you project that on everybody else. So those are the bad guys. Those are the unclean. These are the clean. This is who we should love. That's who we should hate. And knowing that it was all like these allegories and metaphors of our existence and our life. And like, I feel like Jesus understood that and was like, man, y'all are literally about to kill this woman. And if you really, and He said, if you really believe it was literal, you'll do what Arien did. I don't want to repeat that, but
you go take yourself into her place.
Yeah, you'll put yourself and let everybody stone you because you next. If you kill her, you're next.
Right.
Because that's really how God works.
You have to be able to read it that way. You there is the letter of the law, but there's a spirit of it. And Jesus,
the letter of the law
and the spirit
killeth.
Yeah, that's right. And the spirit giveth life. That's right. And that's why Jesus said, I am the door. He literally became the law. Like, literally became the law and was the word made manifest, right? Like you said, a portal, a vessel. So, and in that, that's when I was having this conversation with my daughter last weekend, actually, because we got invited to a Passover Seder, and on the way down there, we were having some really deep conversations, and we got to talking about how, I guess, religious people, whatever you want to call them, church people, they could be very judgmental and such, like, want to throw stones. Yeah, people in general, but at the conversation, that's where it kind of was geared to.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. It's not just religious people. But I said, and I told her, I said, all that is ego. I said, that's all that is. And a lot of people, they'll use religion as a cloak or whatever, or as a crutch to prop up their ego. And the reason you could tell is because they focus on controllables. Oh, you listen to that kind of music. Oh, you got tattoos. Oh, you do this, you do that. And they start thinking about the outward things that they can control, and they start trying to, manipulate and control you, right? Versus trying to infect that on themselves and become humble, right? And it was a Jewish sage, I can't remember which one it was, but I shared this with her, and I really hang on to this. It says, the old saying says, that a religious man is concerned about his own belly and another man's soul, and a pious man is concerned about another man's belly and his own soul. And that's really the dynamic. Like, you could tell when the ego is out of the picture, right? And spirituality is the source. Then everything, like you said, is turned inward.
Yeah.
Right. And when you read the scripture, you don't say, oh, those dumb, I don't know, whatever rights.
It don't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter. I see myself.
Yeah, I'm them. I'm the whatever.
God
right.
have mercy on me, right?
I'm the Philistine. I'm the man filled with unclean spirits. I'm the disciple that Jesus loved. Like, every single one of them. It's so weird. Like, the more we live life, like you have your people that you identify with in the scripture. Most Christians want to identify with Jesus, right? And because or that's what we're learning, to only identify with the good guys.
Yeah.
That's the majority of like that's a hard one to get over.
Or
can you identify with Goliath?
The ones you thought were
Like,
good guys, seeing them in another light. They were somebody's bad guy.
Yeah. Depending on who lives, who dies, and who tells the story.
Yeah.
That's true.
Is David the hero, or is David the one who committed genocide?
David was.
Shut up! Don't put your mouth on the man of God.
Hey! That's
Touch
the man of
God.
God's anointed.
Yeah.
No,
playing with fire.
You look at David, King David, a God after man's own heart, and then read about the guy.
Yeah. He's after your heart too, and he's after your throat.
After your flesh, after your heart,
he wanted to
after
kill
your
you.
mind, after all of the same.
If your wife was better than his, you was dead. That's most kings that came after him anyway.
Right.
To this day, today, the kings of the earth today. Like, they tell you straight up that that's what they're gonna do, and can't nobody stop them. You can't. So we digress, but it's to reevaluate, just to read this stuff in a different light, which has been super healthy. Maybe for me, it's been entertaining. It's been very scary. I'm gonna say healthy. It's not healthy. It's healthy is just to do what they tell you to do and just keep it moving. But I don't think that it's.
I don't know if that's healthy.
I don't think. No, you can lie to yourself longer. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss.
So we haven't even really introduced Reggie. We go back with Reggie. I want to say I'm gonna throw a date out. 2008, 2007.
Yeah, it was around that time.
We met probably online? MySpace days.
MySpace.
So I'm gonna give a little plug. He probably doesn't listen to your show, but I'm gonna try to send if you post
Anthony.
No, his name was Joshua Roberts.
Right? Oh
yeah. You probably know him.
Yeah. Man,
he knew you
the other day.
He knew you because he was in a band.
Him.
Yeah, and you was performing. I think you guys performed somewhere, maybe at the skating rink or something.
Yeah.
And I remember I'd seen your stuff floating around on MySpace, and I saw that Josh was in a band that I was in at one point.
Vertical Clearance.
Yeah.
I was listening to Vertical Horizon the other day, and it made me.
Yeah, so they started that band, and then they asked me to help them manage it. Then they asked me to be the singer, and I was kind of like a stand-in singer for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, wife got pregnant, I had to move on. But I still watched them online, watched them over the next couple of years, and I saw they did a concert with you. And I'd already been kind of listening to your stuff and checking it out. It said TruthSeekah, and I was like, I recognize TruthSeekah because of the hoodie that Sonny Sandoval wears.
Which is where I got my name.
Which is where you got your name from, right? So anybody listening or watching don't know that. There you go. But I have that poster actually hanging in my room.
I got the DVD.
There you go. Yeah, still paying dues. That's right. Yeah. But that was a satellite tour poster back in 2000.
That's a dope.
Yeah,
that's
2001. Yeah, it's rad. And so anyway, I saw your name, so that's kind of what pulled me a little bit. I'm sitting here like, all right, I recognize that. It looks like a POD kind of thing, and of course. Lifetime.
Look at me now.
Look at Lifetime.
What happened?
You look the part. But
now
I've got the soul. No, I'm messing with you. But so then I think I might have followed you or whatever, connected with you on MySpace. I was asking Josh what he thought about you. I think at the time you were really political. I think.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah.
You had released the Fall of Babylon EP.
Well, that was 2010 then. If it was that long ago.
Well, you had some songs from
I think.
You had some songs from.
Oh, that was already out.
That was already out on your MySpace.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of your stuff was from fight music though that was on your MySpace, so that's how far back we're going. But you had
gang.
Yeah. And I asked him, I was like, Josh, what you think about this guy TruthSeekah?
Stay away.
He said he's really political, but he didn't disparage you at all. But he was like, really political, and that's just. And he said that's all I'm gonna say. Yeah. And so Josh he's a good guy.
No, I like him.
He's a good guy. Yeah. He didn't disparage you at all. He just was trying to be as bearingly honest as he could. And at the time, he wasn't telling a lie. But then I think
9/11 was an inside job.
Hey, there you go.
Trump is QAnon. Trump has always been. Now, but listen, was I not a forerunner?
You were, dude.
So everything that I believed, is it now the new normal?
I mean, I remember that one time I texted you on 9/11 anniversary, just saying 9/11 is the inside job, and you said, "Dude, that's so 10 years ago." I remember you telling me that. I was like, I can't tell you nothing, bro. You're already ahead of the curve on all of it. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, man. But I think you reached out to me at some point.
Tell me I was right.
You was right, dude.
Sure. It saved me from when the way
Aaron knows I just feel right because she's like, he's not right most of the time, right?
No, it's normal though. Everybody's And 9/11.
Everybody wants to be right. Yeah.
Everybody, yeah, and they're not gonna get an "I told you so." Don't look for that. But like, now the conspiracy hit the church like crazy with Trump and QAnon. You know, so and with COVID, like all that stuff that came out. That I'm glad I went through it when I did, because it hit folks hard, super
post
hard.
2020, yeah, it's
hit
been wild.
hard. It hit my fans hard. They got mad because I wouldn't drink that water anymore, and they're like sending me documentaries. I said, bro, I don't want to watch none of that. I said, I'm trying to fight my butt off to maintain my peace, and I know what conspiracy theories do.
Right.
I don't want to watch any of those.
Yeah.
You got to, man. Trust me, man. This is the one. And they were doing what I had already, what I'd done years before.
Yeah, they're walking the path. So you've already been there. So you got grace toward them. You got mercy toward them.
Yeah,
you're not going to try to tell them. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, and you can't tell them,
because there's only one way the path ends, right? And I think we've all been there.
Spiritual, it's fix yourself.
Yeah, that's the only way you're gonna because you end up realizing, like, dude, it doesn't matter how much I know.
You can't change any of these people.
You can't change them. Only person you can change is yourself.
Yeah,
and that changes,
that's where it leads. Yeah, that's where it leads. But yeah, man.
So that's how we met on MySpace. And I was on there.
I think I was posting some stuff, and maybe you was posting some stuff. And then finally, I think you might have messaged me, be like, "Dude, let's link up." And you sent me your number. Like, boom. And you was doing some driving. I was doing some driving for work, so we ended up talking on the phone a lot, meeting in person, all that good stuff, and just went from there. Lots of good memories, though. That was, I want to say that was 07, I think, 07, 08.
Yeah, long, fun conversations too.
Yeah. Ended up finding out we had a lot in common. I remember that.
Yeah. Hold on, oh Lord. Dang. Yeah. So people ask me, all the time, how did the podcast get started? Like, how'd you start podcasting? Because I've been doing it a long time. Like before podcast was a thing, we called them radio shows.
Right.
And I always say, like, I was driving a truck and I would do these, three-way calls with people, which would turn into 8-way calls, because everybody would use their 3-way, and we have 8 people on these calls that would last like 8-9 hours. Some people would stay on like my whole shift. And while I was driving, and it helped me get through the day, and it was fun, and we're talking about the Bible, doing Bible studies, we're praying for one another, talking about conspiracies, just hanging out. And we did this every day until definitely me and you, we'd have some deep conversation, but like, man, this should be recorded, man. Like, other people need to hear this. And so from that moment, it was like, okay, I'm going to try when I get off of work, I'm going to do a radio show and come back on. And I remember me and you were like one of the first ones that I did it with. And
yeah, I remember
Blog Talk Radio.
We was talking about like demons and manifestations of spirits and stuff. Yeah. I still got that on my laptop somewhere.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. That was a while back, dude.
So that's how they got started. And that was I officially started, I wouldn't say like 2011, but like it was like around that time, maybe before that we even got started. It was the podcast wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, so did TruthSeekah invent the podcast?
No, I was a radio show, but there was no radio. I called it a radio show.
TalkShoe.
TalkShoe.com. Yeah, all the free ones.
Yeah.
And then the other ones people could call in. Those were dope. Like, and I started like early, and quality was so bad, but got a lot of views on it and stuff. It was fun. But that's how it got started. It was from that. So Arien may have some questions.
Yeah. So speaking of conspiracies and debates in the Christian community, there's this debate about the Holy Bible, of what color it should originally be.
I'm sorry? What color the Bible?
What color were the first Holy Bibles?
Oh, they were green. I thought you were serious for a second there. I'm like, yo. New Testament, Psalms, and Proverbs, too. Those were the books, yeah.
So we got
so talk a little bit about the green Bibles, because YouTube, we hear a lot about the green Bibles.
Because people, like, we just laughed our butts off, and it felt good. But people listening, like,
they're like, what is this?
Green?
Yeah.
Why were they green? What year were they green?
You got to let them in on the joke, dude.
So I had Brother Wayne voice, still have it, Pawpaw voice, and you had a voice that would match it and a character and stuff, and And so let's just go into character about the Green Bibles, and I'll let you set it up. How you doing, brother? You heard? Have you read the Word of God lately?
I had.
Come on, son.
I got you,
That's
dude.
hard.
Hang on. Let me put this up right here. Here we go. Hey, brother Wayne.
How you doing?
How you doing? This is Roscoe Rossman. How you doing, brother?
Roscoe,
Praise God.
Praying for your family.
Praise God. Praise God. I was just calling you to see if you had any of them green Bibles on you. I passed the Saraland Senior Citizen Center on the way.
You want to get a box?
I was wanting to go drop off some green Bibles.
Hell, I tell you one thing: if you get a box, I need you to bring it down there to the assembly, because Sister Suzanne Summers, you know, the one that used to do the Bowflex.
Suzanne, yes, I remember Suzanne. Nice
played on that show. Family Matters, Step by Step.
Oh, God.
All out of character.
You know, but I passed out some of them green Bibles the other day, Brother Wayne. And
how'd you get them? How'd you pass them out? How'd you do it?
With my hand, son. The old school hand.
Well, hell, they got you on camera throwing them out the window.
That's
of the
right.
vehicle. You threw them at them children. You tossed them like CDs in the prison.
I was doing some of that in my younger days. Yeah, but those kids said that they were red Bibles, and I said, no, sir, they're green. They said READ Bibles.
That's the Mormons.
Red. That's the Mormons.
The Mormons are trying to slip one in you. It's called the Watchtower.
I think isn't Watchtower them G-Hoes, brother?
Yeah. Watchtower
is
what my friend Alonzo, I don't think you ever met Alonzo, but Alonzo would call Watchman. Remember Watchman? He would call Watchman Watchtower.
Oh, that's funny.
Hey, that guy Watchtower, man. How's Watchtower doing? I was like, you mean Hightower? Dante Hightower? Anyway, that's the Green Bible.
That's the Green Bible.
And we would just do that for a long time.
Dude,
a prank call.
We would call, yeah, and I remember the prank calls. Those are funny, too. You kind of went that way when you said I was throwing them out the window.
Yeah, threw Bible, threw them by hit a kid in the head.
This is Roscoe Rossman. I don't know. I got your phone number from Derek Roskerth. I don't even know a Derek Roscoe or something like that. I'm like, anyway, fun times.
That was fun.
Yeah.
The Gideon's Green Bible, which are in all of the hotel rooms. They got like a deal.
Yeah.
You know, put the little...
We bought those things in bulk. Got them off a shipping container. Yeah.
Robbed them off a train.
Yeah, man.
You got anything else?
So I heard that you've met the last apostle to America.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's right. The only apostle there is. That's right. What's that guy's name? Was his Wade Dimmers? Was his
Wade
name?
Dimmers.
Bro, yeah. Shalom and Yeshua. Yeah, I remember
Shalom and Yeshua, brother.
Yeah, I remember that guy. So that was interesting. Yeah.
That was crazy.
That was, definitely crazy for sure.
So who was he? Give us some context.
So I'll tell you, the first time I saw him was at...
I never seen him.
I saw him, didn't know it. Well, I found out later that it was him. So I went to a Books A Million, Joe Muggs Cafe, in Meridian, Mississippi.
That's where he lived.
And that's where he was living. And I had seen there was this group of people there that he had like this long beard and a corduroy jacket. And he was talking to a lady who had like a covering on her head and everything and a skirt. So she looked she looked the part, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm sitting here, at that time, I was like kind of going through my Jewish roots, Messianic, really hardcore. Mm-hmm. So when I saw them, I was kind of looking at them, and Brother Wade looked right over at me and made like this really intense eye contact with me. Like he knew, I don't know, or I knew, or whatever.
He could smell you coming. He was a predator and you were prey.
That's right. So I didn't think nothing of it, right? I just kind of was like, I kind of overheard them talking. I don't know what they were talking about, but something spiritual. Then a friend of mine, I won't name him, but he was living down in like Fairhope. And this guy shows up at the church.
Can you give me a first name or something? Because I'm trying to put together how we met him. So
there was a guy named Josh that called me, right?
Do I know him or no?
I don't think you've met him, but he calls me. I'm living in Mississippi, but
he's warning you of the guy too, right?
He called me and asked my advice because Wade showed up.
He would try. Because we told him where we lived, and he was like, "I'm coming to you."
Because I told him about I'm sorry. Yeah. So my friend Josh calls me because he showed up at the church that I used to go to when I lived here.
Reggie told the guy where he used to go to church, so he went from Meridian to Foley, which is
I think he showed up down there. I don't know. Maybe
no, he did, and it was like over almost 3 hours away.
And he took his group and went down there and showed up at the church and was trying to get and he was like talking to my buddy Josh. When Josh calls me, he's like, dude, he seems kind of real, but he was like a young believer, like really young believer, right?
Because we're looking for the real deal.
And he's saying, dude, he's like, he told me I need to go sell all I have and give my money to the poor to come follow him.
And he was the poor that needed the money.
And so I kind of got pulled into that because I was asked for advice. And then I started talking to Wade. I said, well, give me his number. I'll call him. And then that's when he started telling me, I've read the Bible 118 times. All the shepherds have gone astray. I'm the last apostle.
I'm the only one to America. And he would say with such conviction and tears.
He believed
I'm the last one to America,
yes.
Brother Reg.
And that was pretty trippy. So then I started talking to you about it. And you was like, give me his number. And you did the same thing.
So you introduced him to me.
I think I gave you his number and you called him or something.
Because, White Mike lived in Meridian, too.
Right.
That's right. I didn't know how,
Yeah, no, it wasn't Mike. It was a guy named Josh. But yeah, there was some crazy stuff that went down like at that church. And they ended up kind of like, they let him stay there for a night, but then they asked him to leave the next day.
And he wouldn't. And he probably knew the laws of
eviction.
Eviction. Like, oh, you can't kick me out.
Yeah.
But that dude was super crazy. But at the time, we just invited him into our phone calls, our long Bible studies. And he had some Bible knowledge and stuff, but he was super militant.
Mm-hmm.
He was super militant. And we were militant too, just young. We were.
He was literally, when you say he was a predator looking for prey, he literally was the dude. He was like, and I'll give you an example, because when he came back to Mississippi, I was going to a church there. And I remember him saying, well, we're meeting over here at this building. You should come. Because we were having conversations. And he was trying to convince me that I need to come, study,
under him and
stuff. And I'm sitting here like, I just was getting some checks about it, but I was getting something out of the conversations. But it was more or less like, seemed like somebody who really did feel that spiritual isolation, like the rest of the world, is kind of a little off,
He's the only one right.
So somebody,
in the whole world.
And so there is a bit of that. It kind of like gives you like this false attraction, like you feel like it is this God, whatever. And then I remember he called me or texted me and said that he wanted me to come, and I said, I'm actually going to my church. So then he's texting me. He said, I'm at my church with my family this Sunday.
Say, no, brother, the Lord.
And he texted me and he said,
brother.
oh, so you found a church that teaches the word of God.
Yeah, and he wanted to know the location.
And he's like, so maybe we should come there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he was like going around to all these churches trying to find a church.
I'm talking about he wanted to show up and confront the pastors is what he wanted.
Yeah.
And what he would do is he'd show up.
They don't follow the word. He had a voice too. He had a freaking weird, Brother Reg. That's how he would.
Shalom and Yeshua, brother. Yeah.
Brother Reg.
And he wanted, and I talked to my pastors about it. They had a run-in with him like 20 years prior.
Dang.
He said he came in here and he said that he wanted to sit down and talk and rebuke them. He said that he wanted to counsel us, and they weren't having it.
He had a standoff with the police.
Yeah. Yep. There was a lot of,
and I don't know if it was a shootout, but a standoff where he had a sick child that they were like
he was refusing to give up,
deathly ill or whatever, and they were just fasting and praying and wouldn't bring her to the ER.
Icky.
Yeah. And so whenever I told, that incident where he was trying to come to my church, I was like, no, I'm not telling you where I'm going to church.
Yeah.
And then I think that he had his executive assistant
wife.
Yeah. She said
girlfriend.
That, probably concubine or something, was telling me that basically like, you should come here or tell us where you're at. We'll come there. And I was like, well, I'm just testing some things. And when I said that, bro, I might as well just spit in their face, because she called and left me voice messages. Who do you think you are?
Coming against the prophet of God.
Questioning the apostle.
Remember that stuff, dude.
And then he called me and left me like 20 voice messages.
And it was always, Brother Reg, because you played them for me.
You
think you're the apostle.
He's like, you think you're for here? And he told me straight up, like, you think you're for hearing from God, but you're not.
It's demons, brother.
And I was like, so I told him, I said, so Brother Wade, if I'm not hearing from God, then how do I know he's leading me to you? Because he would tell me God's led you to me, but then tell me that I wasn't hearing God. So I'm like, dude, so you got to pick one, man. I'm either hearing God and he led me to you, or I'm not hearing God. So you tell me.
It was so crazy.
Yeah.
How that dude didn't kill us,
Right.
kidnap us,
Thankful
or drain our
that
bank account.
Thankful that, yeah, you and I had a lot to talk about for a long time after that, too, because you would call me up on the phone and be like, Brother Reg.
Brother Reg.
Are you calling my wife a witch?
Yeah. He, like, I remember one time, because we were talking, he was like, okay, if you're in the fivefold ministry, what do you identify with? What do you think you are? We'd answer. You're like, and it's a lot of Christians talk about that. We're like, well, I'm in fivefold. I feel more like I'm an evangelist. My calling is to go out and reach the lost and go into neighborhoods, or I feel called to be a pastor and shepherd, and I'm more of a prophet. I'm more of a I'm into the prophetic. I want to declare the oracles of God and restore the foundations, and when we would talk about that with him and you on the phone, and you said, I feel like I'm more of an apostle, more of an overseer, one who plants churches and that kind of thing. I feel like if I had to pick one, that's what I would be. And then he was like, okay, that's good, Reg. But then eventually he was like, Reg,
there's only one.
You're not an apostle, Reg.
That's right.
I am. It was almost like the Trump kind of thing. Reg, listen,
he
Reg,
was a spiritual narcissist, dude. That guy was all
apostle.
about his own ego, dude.
The greatest apostle.
Yes, that's right.
There's never been another. I'm kind of like Daniel.
We're gonna make apostles great again,
These are like we had, what? And I tried to.
You haven't heard of the?
I tried to call Tave a while ago. I was just gonna just throw Tave on the phone, just randomly.
Oh man, yeah.
But Tave, because Tave was always asking me, like, eventually, Tave was like, Truth, where you meeting all these people at, man? He's like, you meeting all these people on the internet, bro. You met Reggie, you met Wade Demers, and we just go down the list of all these Rakad, the Israelite leaders, and I would be friends and get them all on the phone. And Tave was like, man, where you meeting all these people on the internet, bro? You got to quit meeting people on the internet. I said,
wise little Tave.
I said, Tave, I met you on the internet, man. Quit tripping.
Right.
Like, what you talking about? But yeah, wise Tave.
That was wise.
One of the quotes that I always think about when I think of Tave is when he said, "Ain't nothing wrong with getting crunk
for the Lord." He said,
"That's what he
said.
Wait
a minute, we were debate over this.
Yeah, we were debating music, and he said, "Ain't nothing wrong with getting crunk for the Lord."
Said,
I was
brother, crunk means crazy. Look, Reggie will come at you though. Reggie said, "Brother, crunk means crazy drunk. You are crazy drunk." We say, for the Lord, though, brother.
For the Lord.
We're drunk in the Lord.
All you got to do is throw for the Lord on it. And it's good.
Right.
We redeemed it.
Yeah.
We redeemed it for the Lord.
My God. Fun times.
Yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, we learned a lot in hindsight to not meet people on the internet.
Hey, but I'm a DJ now. I don't mind getting crunk, so I don't care.
Yeah, crazy drunk.
But I mean, yeah, crazy
for
drunk.
The Lord.
For the Lord.
Yeah. I know there's another one on there.
Oh, yeah. So there was one more. It was just a name drop. And I know this person, but probably not as well as both of you do. But I do know him. Gene Duffy. What does that name mean to you?
Isn't that the guy who wrote the songs and was like, is that the guy? That one was like, ha, ha, that one? Yeah. He was the one that was the King James only guy.
Yep.
Yeah. And you said every time, and I remember this because every time you'd call him, he'd answer the phone like he just woke up from a nap. He'd be like, hello? Yeah. Gene
you came to the Bible study
That's right.
We had a building that somebody let us use that we kind of...
It was like a dance hall.
We called it a church. Yeah, it was like a recital-like place. And we called it a church, but we just had Bible studies and concerts there. And
I remember you throwing a lot of concerts there for a hot minute.
For sure.
Yeah,
it was wild. But we brought him there to do a Bible study, and I think you came, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember her being there? Because she doesn't remember it. I thought she was.
I don't remember a lot of stuff, though.
Well, there was one that we went to, and it might have been the one that Gene was there. And I remember there was one that I brought my ex-wife and a friend to, and my kids, and so I want to say that you were there because
I remember meeting them.
I think Vaya was there, and they were all playing.
That must be at the house.
We were sitting down chopping it up. But I don't remember who was your other friend you brought?
Tave and Furman.
There was one other dude.
Jarvis.
What was his name, man? He was carrying around a Jewish Bible, and he was talking about because he was
Joe.
Is that who it was? It's been such a long time ago. Came in there with a beard and keep it on. Yeah. I don't remember if it was that time or if it was two separate.
They never
times.
ended well. Bible studies with Joe never ended well.
Yeah,
they were just so argumentative, which I know. you know, I became argumentative, and Bible studies with me never ended well either. You know what I'm saying? But Gene Duffy, man, that dude, he was a street preacher.
That's
and
right.
a street performer. He would just
Get up and play
sing
music.
weird songs, and one of them was "Ha Ha" that he recorded.
He recorded CDs and handed them out, and you gave me a copy of it, I believe, or maybe no, he gave it to me because he brought it to that Bible study, and I listened to it, and I'm like, man, this is kind of weird, but it's like,
ha, ha.
Yeah, ha ha, it's like really trippy. Yeah. Sound like something you'd hear like some drunk clown or something, you know, right? Right in his downtown.
Like a whole scene.
But he was singing about the Lord, you know, and he's like talking about how the King James Bible was the purified version of the word.
The fourth, yes,
3 times
1611.
Yeah, like 3 times purified or something like that. I can't remember. He was citing some scripture.
Yeah, he had some wild stuff, as we all do, but he had some good stuff too. Like I learned a couple things I learned from him, like especially about the KJV, but they're KJV only.
Yeah.
And I think I turned into that for a little while. I still read the KJV, but I'm not KJV only.
Right.
But he just the idea of the thee, thy, thou, and thine, to our Western mindset, like those are all the same thing. Thou art thine, brothers. Like they all meant something different, whether there was a singular, a plural, possessive. Like he knew all that, and he when he would read a scripture and then give it more context with the thee, thy, thou, and thines in there, it was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense than these other versions. We were like, yeah, the New King James just takes the thee, thy, thou, and thine out, and it's like, but it changes like this context that obviously he saw, you know, precious or whatever. He saw that was, you know, they were in there for a reason in the KJV. So I remember he shared that. Another thing he shared at that Bible study, which is kind of shocking and it stuck with me, was he talked about Caesar. And he talked about this decree that Caesar did, that first of all, Caesar wanted to sleep with everybody's wife. But he also said that Caesar, like when they demanded to have the firstborn and have the children killed, that they went and cut the woman's belly down the center and took the babies out of the mother's wombs to kill them. And that's where the term C-section comes from that we have in the medical industry.
Cesarean section.
A cesarean section came from Caesar, that he would cut the women's stomach open and take their babies and kill them. And then we still use the term, I'm going to have a C-section. It's like, dang, he shared that at the Bible study, and I was like, that's pretty wild. That's pretty deep.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I don't know. I don't remember that, but that's cool.
You don't remember that?
How
could you forget?
Dude, I don't. Like, there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things I remember, but I don't remember
she
the
knows
C-section.
how, she knows I got like a crazy
Oh, yeah.
I remember a lot.
Amazing.
I remember a lot of things, but there's certain things I guess that just didn't like anchor down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I have more of a lot of times my memory is more kind of photographic. Like I could tell you what you were wearing, what kind of piercings you had, how your hair was cut, you know, all that stuff.
That's me. Like, it's funny because, like, you know, the number pad where the 3 digits at the top, like 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6.
The pattern.
Yeah, the pattern. Like, I can remember numbers because I can remember the pattern, like looking at that number pad. It's so weird, but the visual helps me remember.
It could be something about that trauma response too, though. Because I know at the time I was like, what?
Yeah.
They did what? They cut women open, and we still use that term. And oh God! I said that's like,
yeah.
Like a part of me want to says that I remember hearing that, but like I don't distinctly remember hearing it from that. But
yeah, because I don't think we had them at too many Bible studies, is what I'm saying. So I was like, well, maybe that was at a different one. I was like, I don't think there was a second.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he had a so 1600. So the year 2000 would have been 400 years, right? Of the KJV. He rode around in a van and it said happy birthday to the KJV, 400 years old, KJV 1611, 400 years old. That was his thing.
Yeah.
He would go up to people, he would street preach to people, not about salvation,
but about the Bible.
Hey, which Bible do you own at your house?
Right.
Like he would literally, that was his lead. And I was like, oh, I think we got an NIV, a family NIV. Get it out of your house now. That is not inspired version.
That's right. Or the nearly inspired version, as some pastors will call it.
Oh,
I remember it wasn't long. It was probably around the same time period, if not a little bit after it, that I read a book by Gail Ripplinger called New Age Bible Versions, where she gets into that.
Probably every version except the KJV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is bizarre because it's not the original language, and the original
Yeah.
language is so different from even the KJV.
Yeah.
It's
That's what we come
it's
to find
vastly
out.
it's vastly different. You start doing word studies in the KJV, and
But
it was translated to represent the theology of the king, not necessarily the truth of the actual original script.
What I would say, I'll go on record saying this, like to get an original KJV New Testament for sure, is just to go read the Greek theology or Greek mythology. If you want a better, like a more accurate translation, it's literally go read Hesiod, go read Homer, go read Plato. Like, some of it's like word for word stuff that predates the Bible.
That's right.
I was like,
one thing that really blows my mind too is that
I find it beautiful though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's all in there. Go ahead.
The English words in the KJV had different meanings when they were first put in the KJV versus what they mean today.
Right.
The dictionary definition changes over time.
Absolutely. And then you get into, I always use the example, especially whenever I'm like talking to like my kids and things about understanding the Bible, right? Because there's a lot of people who just say, oh, it's full of holes. It's got a lot of issues. People interpret it their own way. I said, of course, So like, for example, if I said, Derek, hit the road, Jack, you know exactly what that means. No.
I finished the song.
Listen, won't you come back no
right?
more?
You know exactly. I'm telling you to get out of here, right? Scram. Let's go 2,000 years in the future, 4,000 years, 6,000 years from now. The English language is dead and gone. If it is around, it's something completely different.
Yeah.
And the American culture is dead and gone. And people are reading it literally and saying, why would Reggie tell a man named Derek to go strike the pavement?
And then pastors all around the world will make up a reason.
Yeah.
Well, that's because hitting the road, that's how they got their anger and frustration out. It's a great way to do that,
right?
So that nobody gets hurt but you.
Right.
And you probably get a whole sermon on it.
Yeah. And
we should get AI to create a sermon.
We can ask,
on hitting the road. Like,
yeah, you could be like, yo, exactly. And you could, dude, you could. And that's kind of like the modernism I use. But if you go into,
it's called idiom. Like
if you go into Hebrew idioms and things like that, I'll call them Hebrew
dark sayings.
Yeah,
how Jesus.
Well, like talking about if thine eye be single, and it was talking about being a generous giver and things. No,
it was talking about the third eye, brother.
Well, there's people who say that too, but I'm talking about in the language of the day, right? Ask a Jewish sage, they'll say, well, that meant you are a generous giver, right? But nowadays we're sitting here saying, well, it's talking about your pineal gland and whatnot.
Yeah, which I don't think it. I mean, I would want it to be, and I've used it.
If it means that, that's cool, but I mean, because
it could link that way to a degree.
There's a lot of script.
But that's not what it was about.
Yeah, that being said, there's a lot of things that can be multiple layered in the scriptures, and that's the beautiful thing about it, because you get into, you talk about somebody like Gene, listening to him is pretty cool because you learn things, right? Is that going to take me where, is that going to be the end all be all of my spiritual journey? No. But can I test all things and cling to that which is good? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you could do that with all these different teachers. There's different ones like Bill Donahue. He does he uses the zodiac in the scriptures, and there's different things like that. Michael Tsarian was one you used to listen to back in the day. But you really start looking at, and then you go read the scriptures again, and you're like, wow, now I'm seeing something different.
Yeah.
You mentioned mythology. You go back and read it after you've read mythology, and you're like, now I'm seeing things differently. The scriptures borrowing things. So one of the things that I ran into, first thing I was reading a book called The Sabbath. It was written by Abraham. I can't remember. No, I can't remember his last name. But anyway, it was written by a Jewish guy. And it's a book called The Sabbath. It's kind of like a treatise, right? And he says, for man, this guy who doesn't believe in Jesus, doesn't believe in Yeshua, he's not Messianic or anything. And he, in his book, wrote, Sabbath, man was not made for the Sabbath, but Sabbath for man. And I'm like, wait a minute. Jesus said that. Come to find out, Jesus was repeating something that was taught.
Yeah.
That came around a couple hundred years before him. See? Right. So, and you just read the Bible, you're reading the King James, and you go into church on Sunday.
We thought we thought Jesus and Paul were original.
Dude, and that was kind of the gateway for me, because I had heard, Jesus and Paul borrowed from. Yeah, of course they did.
Oh, borrowed from the Old Testament first, right?
Sure.
And then we just like, oh, well, that was.
But they taught things that was being taught in Greek culture and Hebrew culture. Yeah, and so when you realize that, just like conversation we're having now, you and I talking about pop culture or talking about American politics or anything like that,
or hitting the road.
Yes, right. There's all kinds of things we could say that it came from different sources, and just because it comes from a different source, does that negate its truth? Absolutely not.
No.
Depends on who you ask. I mean, that was when, I guess when the awakening, personal awakening started getting deeper, is we would say the same biblical truths, but we would quote them different, or say Buddha's version or something else that it found it was the same truth. It was just worded differently,
right,
from a different perspective, but it was the same truth.
But if Buddha said it, it's demonic.
Yeah, but that's demonic. It's like, oh, that's what we're playing. We're playing factions here. Y'all ain't after truth. We're playing. That's right. Factions.
It doesn't matter who says it, but the right person has to say it. And it's like, if that's the case, then you guys are hanging your hat on one person or one sect or whatever.
I'm trying to find the actual hymn here, just so I can quote it right. But it's in the hymn of Zeus. Is what it's from. It's where Paul says, it's talking about God, the Creator. Is like, in Him we live and move, and in Him we have our being.
Yes. And
it's like, oh yeah, we can resonate with that. That's from the hymn of Zeus. Like, most Christians don't even know that. Not just that, but it's so much more. Like, he's using their language and things that they can understand, their idioms.
Right.
Like, okay, you guys know what Zeus is, right? Almighty, all-powerful Father. Okay, and he's the creator. Okay, what if there's one that, that we're all inside of? Like, this is what we're talking about. And he, so much of that was quoted. And I'm finding so much more that you could never find. Like, you can never say aha, because it's the greatest story ever told. I find it so beautiful because it combines all stories together. So it is Greek mythology. And there would be people like Bill Donahue or other people who would say the Bible is purely Greek mythology, brother.
Or pure allegory or something.
It's pure allegory. Right. It is. But it's not only.
Exactly.
Or they'll say simply. I say simply allegory? It's simply astrology? Because it's astrology, and it's Sumerian mythology, and Greek mythology, and Egyptian magic, and
Babylonian.
It's everything. Yes. And that's what makes it so amazing, that there's something in it for everybody, depending on what's in you.
That's why if you become the pagan police,
which we were.
And I know people still who are that way. And it's like, you want to point at everybody else and say, it's all pagan. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Hey, tomorrow.
Look at Abraham.
What? What's tomorrow?
Well, Easter. It depends on which side of the coin you're standing on. But yeah, let's just go for Easter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Passover, brother.
No, Passover has already happened.
Well, Easter. Pesach.
That's right.
So, like, remember, you know where I was at, and you probably were there too.
Mm-hmm. I'm celebrating Ishtar. Yeah.
What does eggs have to do with Jesus?
Fertility, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's like, fertility is demonic.
Is it? Right. Well, that's how we're here,
that's what we said that.
Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, right?
We said it was demonic.
Yeah. But I mean, it's it's really easy to start pointing the finger and cutting, splitting every hair, but then you end up, it's kind of like Aaron said earlier. It's like, okay, well, you're without sin, cast the first stone. You end up, if you follow that trail long enough, you end up throwing stones at yourself, right? Yeah. And there are people who are still out there, saying, oh, it's all pagan. I'm like, yeah, you're right. What was Abraham when God met him? Right.
Yeah. Who was my thing was, it's always been this. This is always my pursuit from the beginning. Like, which came first? Like, what Christianity was first? Because I know the Christianity we have now, and then I read the Bible, and I'm like, most Christians in this pursuit of truth, like, I read about Jesus, and what's going on at this church down the road ain't got nothing to do with him. Yeah, Jesus loved everybody. Y'all hate everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus kept the Sabbath. Y'all blaspheme the Sabbath. Like. So we're just like seeking and trying to get to the original, or what looks more biblical. I mean, that's And that's where those people who are calling things pagan, I mean, they're probably somewhere along that journey, which we've all been on. And so, it always goes down to like, which came first? And like, okay, they didn't do Easter. They did Passover. Okay. They didn't do Passover. It's like,
But even then, Passover hasn't always been around.
exactly. So it's like, what was before Passover?
Exactly.
Well, it talks about in the scriptures, they baked cakes for the Queen of Heaven.
Yeah. And then they called it evil. Somebody called it evil.
Mm-hmm.
It's like wonder, but then you say you're not supposed to ask why. Why weeping for Tammuz? Why was that evil? Because, like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Is it evil because it's a different god? Because Tammuz is Hold on, I didn't say that. You said that. Hey, we read books. We know all this stuff, but now everything came full circle because it's like, who came first, Tammuz or Jesus?
Right.
Read his story. Read what
I've heard pastors get up and say that, like, because you remember we used to have the Christmas debate, which Christmas is what it is, dude. Like, Encyclopedia Britannica lays it out pretty straight. If you want a good source on Christmas and where it came from, definitely predates Christ. I remember trying to research. That was kind of the pinnacle for me. That's kind of what started it all for me, was because I was on fire, for God, for Christ, and I'm like, Christmas is so mixed up. Santa, they're always trying to say, keep Christ in Christmas. I said, I'm going to research it. I'm going to celebrate it the right way. And then the more I researched it, the more I realized, this is pretty messed up. I had people challenge me, like, Christians stole a pagan holiday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nuh-uh. And then I started researching. I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, we did. You're right.
I always like fantasize because there was a billboard in Mobile that said "Keep Christ in Christmas."
Yeah.
And while I was at time, I was like, we need a billboard that says "Take Christ out of Christmas" because he was never there to begin with, kind of thing. Like in this Christian understanding or whatever.
Sure.
And
but I mean, if Christmas existing for what it is, it was the Christ Mass that was started by the Christ Mass that was started by the Roman Catholic Church. So I mean. Sure. Okay. You want to say
the sun dies.
That's right. And if you follow it back far enough, it's astrotheology. And like I said, it's like when you really start thinking about it, is what it's about. Is it actually evil or is it good? And I mean, you're not, as long as you're worshiping the Creator. I mean, that's what it gets back to the heart of, and that's where it came to for me. Like, instead of being militant against Christmas, I'm thankful for the opportunity of peace and goodwill toward my fellow man. And that's where that comes full. We talk about full circle, and not taking ego out of the picture and just saying, what can I change? I could change me.
Christ is there because you can even see it in people who aren't believers at Christmas time, like that joy and that generous spirit, and the giving and the charity and Christmas. The childlike awe and wonder, like all of that is there for people who even don't believe. Right. So he's there now. Like,
that's what brought me back to it.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was so militant and I would get angry around
Didn't
Christmas.
You say y'all used to hand out pamphlets and stuff? I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, I'm kind of ashamed of that stuff, man.
I mean, there's a time in the season, though. It's kind of like...
I thought I was doing the right thing, and I was an asshole. It just was.
Well, it's just like Gene Duffy. He thought he was doing the right thing, and he showed up at Walmart every weekend preaching out on a loudspeaker to the point where he literally got stabbed for it. But he showed up faithfully because he really thought he was doing the right thing and helping people.
He had to. You couldn't tell him anything different. Just like there's nothing you could have told me then that, truth, you're going about this the right way. I could have quoted scripture and he who wins souls is wise, and be wise as serpents but harmless as doves. And I would give them, they'd invite me to the church to perform and do my music. And I had these pamphlets I created with, anti-Christmas and Christmas trees and saying it was pagan and all that stuff. And then they were like, hey, can we get your autograph? And I'm like, sure. And I give the pamphlet and I'd sign the pamphlet. And it would say the Awakening Church on the front. But then when they flipped it, and the church had a Christmas tree in it that even like invited me. And I just felt so bad. And like after the fact, like during, I thought I was like this militant, warrior for Christ, but it's like, no, you're a douchebag, right? Those people, you betrayed their trust. You know what I'm saying? The people trusted you to speak to, these young people, right? But you live and you learn,
Yeah, and I mean, you and I, we used to butt heads, man. We were both very prideful.
I used to Beavis. You used to.
You're funny. I like that, dude.
Man.
Man. Yeah, we both had a lot to learn, you know, and grow through. You know, we were young men. You know, we thought we knew a thing or two.
Didn't know a damn
Dude,
thing.
all we knew was that there was a lot we didn't know, a lot that a lot of wisdom our souls had to gain. And then, you know, we're still learning, we're still growing. You know, here we are in our 40s, and it's like, what do we know?
How old are you?
41.
Damn,
Yeah,
I
I'll
didn't
be.
know you was that much older than me.
Yeah, how old are you, dude?
26.
26. That's right.
Dang,
Perpetually.
Well, I
26.
guess I was talking about me, myself, and I. I talk about myself in plurality all the
By
time, bro.
yourself, man.
It's all good. But
TruthSeekah was only 26. Oh my god.
oh my god,
Ronnie. It's the grays coming out.
there you go. You got more gray than I do, I think. But
Newsflash, he's not. Okay.
He's not what? 26?
Yeah.
In the Lord.
In the Lord.
Serving
There
the
you go.
Lord.
There
If you
you
can
go.
get
Born
crunk,
again.
if you
There
can
you
get
go.
crunk in the Lord, you could be 26 in the Lord.
26 in
that's
the
right.
Lord.
That's
I'm
right.
probably older
I
than that in the Lord.
identify.
too,
I'm
though.
26 in the Lord.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, we talked about a lot so far. I don't know how long we've been going. We don't have
A little over an hour.
a cutoff time, but one thing we were talking about when we were together, because we got to see the Deftones together.
Yeah.
Freaking first time for you.
Yeah, it was the first time for me. I'd
First-
been
yeah.
I'd been into him for about 20 years.
What a show!
That was a good show.
We got to see a healthy, skinny Chino throwing down,
Looking good up there,
jumping
man.
off of
Yeah.
speakers at, he's 50 at least.
Yeah.
I think 51 or something.
See, the reason I like Deftones is because Deftones is POD. Those
Yeah.
guys, that's their favorite band.
Yeah.
And they
You can
still to this
tell.
day they'll be like, dude, like Deftones is our favorite band.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
can definitely tell
Yeah.
the influences there.
For
Right.
sure.
And I think when POD started getting big and they signed with Atlantic and stuff, and they went on MTV and they were like, guys, they said we didn't know how it worked. They're just like, hey, you gotta check out our boys at Deftones, man. Gotta check them out.
Promoting other
And
bands.
now look at Deftones, bro.
Yeah.
Like they're big. They're
Yeah.
big. It just turned, they didn't even know Linkin Park was another one. Check out our homies in Linkin Park, bro. So it's pretty cool watching that, dude. So that's kind of what got me into him, man, to be honest with you.
that was a fun show.
Yeah, it was.
Deftones. So we got to hang out there, but we were talking about some deep stuff there too when we got to talk. Just talking about vibration and
Power of thought and belief.
attraction.
Yeah.
So I was listening to Timaeus, which is a book by Plato.
Hmm.
He had these characters and it was about the creation of the world and some awesome stuff that they borrowed from the scriptures, like the scriptures borrowed from some of the stuff, but it's about the creation of the world, and they used the term the law of attraction. So like in our minds, like the law of attraction came out with The Secret, like
Yeah.
like it's like this is new, it's new age, it's all new. It's like
That was the
like,
pop culture ticket, right?
this is something like it's just as old as the scriptures, where they talked about the law of attraction and men willing things to themselves because of their genetic makeup, like what's their chemistry in their body, the quality of their thoughts, and all of these kind of things, and which was something that we were talking about, just a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Your vibe attracting things to you and stuff.
That's why I said, like, I'm so passionate about the human body and the way it stores trauma, because a lot of people store trauma in their bodies and they don't even realize it. So then they attract more trauma, and it's just like a cycle. Until you can clear it out, you're going to keep attracting the same stagnant stuff that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
But I found that out myself personally when I got healed of a bunch of trauma that I thought I was over. And thankfully, Jesus came in and said, no, you need a little bit of surgery. We got to remove some of that stuff. But then he showed me almost like an x-ray of the body and how your body stores it in these different energy points and
chakras.
Yeah, it's wild. But you attract whatever vibe you put out, intentionally or unintentionally, you attract it.
I mean, it just is very simple. I'm gonna go back. I don't want to. I'm gonna use this example, but Wade Dimmers mentioning a predator can smell a prey from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
Like he can look. So you attracted him. He can smell you. Oh, this is
because I was looking for something.
A young truth seeker who is will believe anything. Let me tell him I read the Bible 18 times. I mean, get out of here.
Like 118 times.
Yeah, I read the Bible. people like predators can look at people and smell and see. Like, so in a sense, we attracted that dude into our lives. We were like ecstatic that we met this guy who knows the Bible better than anybody, and he's willing to talk to us for hours. And then now he's trying to, take all our money and have us come live in the woods with him and stuff. It's like we attracted that in our lives. We needed that on some vibrational frequency. We attracted that.
Yeah.
He didn't trick us. We were looking for him. So that's like the thing.
I was listening to somebody the other day, and he said, and he went on he made a whole podcast episode talking about how everything that happens to you in your life is your fault. And he was talking about that. He was talking about how, and and somebody said, oh yeah, well, what if you're walking down the street and a meteorite falls and hits you in the head? And he was like, look, dude, the less than 1% rare exception to the rule is not an argument against the rule. Yeah. So the rule still exists. Most of the things happen in your life because you're attracting it, or of a decision that you've made, or a belief that you have.
And you're just unaware of it at the time.
Or
a
even
lot of times.
Decisions other people make, but you're just close to them, so it affects you too.
100%. So the fact that you're in their proximity is a decision you made and you didn't even know. But it's...
I didn't know this dude was finna rob the store. Right. I was just driving the car.
How do you know? You know what I'm saying? How do you know? You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to make every... Like, he used the argument about, like, when you're in a car accident, how insurance companies weigh the percentage of fault, right? So let's say I run into you in a car accident, and they'll say, well, Reggie's 100% at fault. That doesn't mean that Derek's 0% at fault, because there's going to be two insurance companies, and they're going to look at you, and they're going to say, what could Derek have done different? How could he be able? Okay, so Derek's 40% at fault, Reggie's 90%. Well, that doesn't mathematically add up. That's right, because it's on an individual basis, and that's how fault works in life. And then another thing, and we go back to that time period when I was talking to you about, around that time that I felt that peace and everything. I had somebody recommend a book. It's called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. That's a really good book. It's a life-changing book. So any of your listeners, a reader, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. But it gets into talking about the power of your subconscious mind, how your subconscious mind makes up the largest majority or the percentage of your mind. And it's the part that basically runs on autopilot. It's like the computer running in the background. It's what keeps your heart beating, your blood flowing.
Ego.
Yes. And it's also, so like when you're driving, you ever driven somewhere and you don't even remember how you got there? Your subconscious mind did that, right? So you tell your subconscious mind what to believe. You program it, right? And that gets into scientific prayer. You and I were talking about that, and the way that you praying and with a grateful heart and as if it already exists. Whatever it is you seek, not help me or help this person, but thank you for the healing. Yeah. Thank you for whatever it is you seek. And it really gets into how we program our thoughts, which like, that's kind of how I explain, like, all right, it puts me in a position where I can take more responsibility, and it gives you more freedom, right? Because you're not this victim just floating through the cosmos.
Yeah.
And things are happening to you.
Yeah, like we say, life isn't happening to you. Life is happening through you.
That's right.
You become a conduit. It's what we call it, just turning autopilot off, because we go through life as an autopilot, and just become a victim of circumstances versus like, hey, can I change? Can I? Like, we're playing a game called life. We haven't read the rules. We didn't know that. Oh, like all of these situations, like you're just guilty by association of some of these things. Like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that if this guy gets out and robs the store, I didn't do anything. I had no idea.
Right.
Guilty by association. You drove the getaway car. But I didn't know. Don't matter. Like, if you know that, lock the door and take off and leave. When you see him pull a gun out in the gas station, lock the door and leave. You're not getting back in my car. I didn't know the rules.
Right.
So once we're learning as we go. There are cultures and our people, the powers that be, that know the rules, and they use our ignorance against us. And so we're learning in real time, going through this, or we have the ability to learn, to take these tests or whatever, that some are harder than others, and we learn compassion, we learn to love, we learn to forgive, we learn hard lessons. So, not all of it. Sometimes we had to take, pop quizzes, and it comes
Mm.
up multiple times. We learn to trust. We learn faith. But there's people who are raised in that, and they raise up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're older, they don't depart. That wasn't just going to church. That was how to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
That was how to play Monopoly. That was how to play real estate. That was how to invest. That was how to change a tire. Not everybody, we're not all built the same,
Right.
and when most of us are going through this experiment called America, figuring it out as we go.
Yep.
And you're doing a good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. You're still here. You still got your sanity, what's left of it. Man, hold on to it. Tell him he's awesome, because he got you, man. God brought you this far not to let you go, for sure.
That's right. Yeah, the lessons will keep repeating themselves until you learn the lesson that was meant. And a lot of times that's just you changing your mind.
Change how you respond
That's
to
right.
it.
Changing your mind. It starts there.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew that the thing early on for me was like, don't freak out. My test is, you're going to have these bad financial situations happen. They're going to keep happening. Don't freak out. Because every time they would happen, an unexpected bill, I don't have the money for that. Don't freak out. We got bills right now. We don't have the money to, but I was like, I know it now. It took me, years of going through and really panicking because it didn't change anything. Only thing it is, like the cortisol that you release in your body, and stress is going, and now you're panicking. You're pushing that into the world. You're trying to borrow money from people. I'm scaring Arien. She's scaring me. We're scaring our child, shaking her. You're gonna live in a van down by the river. She would love that, by the way. She actually owns a van. Like, nobody told us, but we learn. Don't freak out. Don't panic. And we have all this stuff happen. It's like, hey, I came into this world with nothing. I don't get to bring anything with me when I leave.
It's not about what you take with you. It's about what you leave behind.
And try not to leave dead is what I'm trying to do.
Well, I mean, you think that was something that I thought the other day, because where did I hear it? You constantly hear that, and if you've been in church at all, that's a favorite.
You don't see a
U-Haul.
U-Haul.
You don't see a U-Haul behind a hearse, right? And it makes out like life is all about what you get, or all about materialism, and like that's the message of life. And I'm like, I look and it's just like something, especially recently, is kind of really just switched, because I remember I was asked to eulogize my grandma's funeral back in January. Wow. And one of the things I said, because there was a lot of people, a lot of lives.
So did you lead the whole procession or whatever?
There was a point where I spoke,
okay.
and I spoke, and they asked me to sing a song. And whenever I got up there and shared, and I looked around at all the faces in that room that was mourning her and that loved her dearly, because she was in her 80s, had touched a lot of lives. I said, she's still here with us in every life that she's touched. And
I did the same thing, bro. I had to do the same thing, bro.
It's like, dude, I look around, and so then it's like, you think about TruthSeekah, Arien, Reggie, and the lives that we have the potential to be a part of. And that continues. And long after our names are forgotten, what we leave here continues. And that's a beautiful thing, man. It's like, it's not about what you take with you. It never has been, right? Yeah. You're going to leave that stuff here. Right?
I think the Bible was talking about that from Genesis to Revelation, that it's a natural process that it's very spiritual, but we put a sheet on it to personify it. The wind, we give the wind a name, because in the Jewish mysticism and the Bible, the wind has a name, Zephyr, and which direction it's coming from, the type, the heat, like so. But these are natural things that govern this realm, and the Bible is a part of eternal, everlasting life. I just had a conversation with a dude last night when we went to that fight, we were talking about Chris Carter. He met this random dude. He's like, hey, we have a mutual friend. Like Chris Carter. He's like, Chris Carter, who? Christopher Carter's his mutual friend. He's like gone and passed, and I was on his memorial episode telling people, this dude, he's not dead, y'all. Chris Carter's not dead. Jesus, if you're a Christian, Christ defeated death. Death is defeated. There is no more death. You have to dig and find where he's at. It's the same way we interact with Christ. is the same way we interact with anyone who ever came, not just somebody you knew, had a phone conversation with this guy, or you had a mentor in your life that's no longer here. Like, it's everything that ever existed or ever will exist. Like, that's the beauty of, that's God. That all that's recorded, and it's here, and it's alive, and it's the living word. It's living. There's no death. And I don't know, maybe that's too mystical or too simple for Christians to get.
I can give you a very simplistic way of thinking about the fact that you live on way past the remembrance of your name. And you kind of alluded to it earlier with the Caesarean section, or the C-section. We use words and say phrases that people long before us came up with, and we don't even know who said it. And we still use it because it was passed on, right? And I mean, you think of things like, when you call somebody a smart aleck, where'd that come from? It was a gangster up in the Northeast. His name was Alex, and they called him Smart Alex because
is that for real, or are you making that up?
True. You can look it up.
He made that.
No, yeah, off the cuff.
Nobody.
But I'm just giving you an example, right?
Did you make it up for real?
No, for real. I researched it, right? Because I was like, where did this come from?
I love doing that.
It was a Smart Aleck. They called him Smart Aleck because he was always witty and always outwitted the cops.
Huh.
And so when somebody would say something clever, quit back, you'd be like, "Oh, Smart Aleck, eh?" Right?
And
that's a person's name. Now, of course, that's something as simple as him being a witty gangster. We still use that today, right? Unknowingly, we don't know who he is, and we actually use his name. And there's other things that we do and say that we don't know the name. We mentioned some of the things that the Bible quotes that was
I love it.
said by Plato and different ones.
Love.
How about a little bird told me?
Oh, yeah. Remind me where that one comes from.
It's in the Bible. It comes from, is it in Proverbs?
Song of, I think it's.
I don't remember where it is. My memory's not great with that. But it talks about if you say something in secret, even in the privacy of your bedchamber, that the birds will carry it. So don't talk bad about the kings.
Don't talk about the king.
Because the birds can carry that message, even if you say it in the privacy of your bedchamber where no one's around.
A little bird told me, homie.
And that's where that comes from.
The bird. The bird is the word.
There you go.
That was cool to look up.
Once we know that, and there's a little bit more, we're like, what about the term, I heard it through the grapevine? Like, so we know the birds carry message. That's a very deep spiritual concept for us. Do the plants have memory? If there's water in them, we know they got memory.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So are the plants recording everything you say and echoing it back? Your
blood records your history too.
Everything
is recorded.
So it's like these phrases, man, that is like, that's fun. So now we have Google, we have ChatGPT, or we have Oxford Dictionary, which is one of the best places to go to see what it means now, what it meant, and what it meant early on.
Right.
But I'm gonna throw this at you. They used to the word Pharisee. The Pharisees, they used that word was interchangeable with fairies. The fairies and the Pharisee. Oh, I read that in Oxford Dictionary. It blew my mind. I was like, what the heck? And I started finding context in books from 1600s where they used the word Pharisees as the word fairy. And I'm like, this is insane. It's like, who would ever think of that? Like, today. I love words. Sometimes I get fired up.
No, I love it too.
I think I might have told you this. This is when I tell everybody the word consider. To consider. Con is usually to think about or to come together.
Come together, yeah.
To come together. And sitter would be like sidereal or stars, according to the stars. But it's to come together, contemplate, and to think about the path or revolution of the stars. Consider is to think about the orbit of the stars. Astrology.
And you just said another one that doesn't mean the way we say it is contemplate. Because contemplate would mean to come together, and the word temple used to be used as a place that was set aside, a structure but with an open top so that they could come together and view auguries. And so they would come and do the divination where they would watch the birds and divine the messages and prophecies from the birds. And that's the word temple. That's what used to be the word temple.
Yeah.
So contemplate what
Good.
that means.
Yeah. With the words are fun, dog.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's like a game of words.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the English language, for some reason, it doesn't default to good.
Mm.
It defaults to negative. Like for some reason,
Right.
we got this thing. We try our best not to say good morning.
Yeah.
Because when you was at the funeral, you found out there was, to those people, there was no good morning.
You say good rising, don't you?
Grand rising.
Grand rising, yeah.
Grand rising, people. Because
I remember you used to instead of saying understand, you'd say I'd overstand. Yeah.
Overstand, yeah.
Remember that.
Overstanding.
You start becoming more intentional with your words.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And there's something that I keep going back to where, Jesus mentioned that you'll give an account for every careless word you speak. And so he was drawing attention to the power of words.
Yeah.
I know you've done the study with the rice and different things like that.
Dr. Emoto, yeah.
Yeah. And there is that lends a lot of credence to what you say. And that's one of the things, like, just because the thought pops in your mind doesn't mean you should speak it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, because when you speak, the pneuma, the ruach in your lungs, the air creates vibrations through your vocal chamber. Yeah. And you literally, as a carbon, or I guess you could say sort of a copy of God, the creator, putting vibrations out there, creating things.
And believing it.
Yes.
Totally.
I liken it to, what's that, Romans 10:9 or 9? Yeah, 10:9, where it talks about unto salvation, that if we confess with our mouth and believe in our heart that unto salvation that Christ is Lord, then we'll be saved. Just that formula there, to believe in your heart, to really believe it, and then to couple it with saying it. It's one thing to believe something and never say it.
Yeah.
I believe my wife is beautiful. It's different when you tell her. And I mean it. Girl, you look at you. I eat you up, girl. You're so beautiful. So when you have the feeling that you strongly believe, but then you won't say it, or you say something and then you don't believe it. But when you have the two that comes together, that's why we have this ability to create.
Yeah. Like a chemical reaction.
Ooh, Lord Jesus. Let's end the podcast now. Yeah. So again, like they're just the English language is, and I say America, this experiment. The American English language is an experiment. Most of these words have the opposite effect, and we don't know what we're saying. You know not what you say. Or
the things that are meant for good, we're told are evil. Like, I think one of
like King David.
No. Like the word abracadabra, right? You're, that's witchcraft. That's evil.
It is.
I mean,
could be.
It could be.
But witchcraft.
Yeah.
That's always my reply.
Witchcraft. Yeah.
Witchcraft.
What are we talking about?
Hebrew mystery.
We're talking about Hebrew. I create what I speak, right? So, I mean, there are certain things that taken, on face value can be meant for good. It depends on
it's a
what
law.
you're using it for.
That's a law. There's no good or evil,
right?
In abracadabra. If you say it,
good and evil is an act of the will, not necessarily a value attached to an object itself.
It says the promises of God are yes and amen. I look at it like the universe that holds order is just saying yes and amen to everything that you put out. With the abracadabra, with that, as I speak it, I create it. As I breathe it, I create it. And the universe is saying yes and amen. Man, I'm the righteousness of God, created in Christ Jesus to do good works. Yes and amen. Man, I don't have no friends, man. All my friends always abandon me. Yes and amen.
Abracadabra, I create.
Abracadabra, you created it and you keep protracting it. Right. I don't know why I can't. How about change the way you look at things?
How about taking every thought captive unto obedience to Christ, right? Taking that thought, it starts coming out. And this is one of the things that I've challenged myself to do. It's like, if a negative thought starts coming out, I stop it as soon as I hear it and change it, or just cut it off. Whichever way. If you don't finish the sentence, then the thought is incomplete, right? But, man, I never. No, I always. Right? Reverse it. You have the opportunity to do that on the onset. And then, of course, if
you get better at catching yourself.
you get better at catching, and then eventually the words stop coming out of your mouth, and you're catching your thoughts. You know, and you're like,
and then you don't even have to anymore because it can't live in you.
Yeah, you're reprogramming your mind.
Yeah. What's strange is what a battle it still is. Like with the good morning and grand rising, it's such a battle because
so weird.
If you're around in public and a cashier says good morning to you, you're like, oh, if I say grand rising, she's going to think I'm weird or she's going to not know what I'm talking about. But if I say good morning, I'm saying this. And it's like, it's always a weird battle still with me, even though it's been, what, a year?
Yeah.
That we've kind of put that into practice.
Gotten better. A year is pretty good.
And then like family, family doesn't always understand your quirks and the things that you do. And so it's like, they say good morning. It's like, how you doing?
It hit us hard because we went to a funeral. And the dude opened up the door, and this is when we're trying to like we know it's a thing we don't do anymore.
Yeah.
And the old man opened the door to the funeral home. Good morning. Like, ain't no such thing, bro. Ain't nobody here having no good. Everybody's mourning in here. Because mourning's what you do at a funeral.
Yeah.
And there's nothing good about it. Not to any of these people,
Right.
We want to change that, but maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe there's some.
Yeah,
maybe
sometimes mourning is good, right? It's a part of the process. So it just depends on, I guess, the way you think of it, right? But I mean, there's always, if somebody says something like that.
No, Reggie, I rebuke you.
Oh, come on. That's all right. I don't receive that.
Right? You don't receive that rebuke?
Alley-oop it right back
that was a loving rebuke.
Oh, okay. I received the love. How about that?
We used to do that all the time. I rebuke that brother.
But like, somebody says something and you're kind of in your mind like, I don't know if I want to repeat that, but you can always, I usually just kind of come back with like, thank you or same to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Or what about when people used to pray for you at the altar?
And they're laying their hands on you.
Yeah, and they're just praying, and then the stuff that you want to agree with, you say, yes, Lord, thank you, Lord. Father, I ask you to bless him, God, God, I pray you open up a home for him in Florida. I'm like, I don't want that. No damn home in Florida. And I pray that you bless his family. Yes, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And it just keep going. I'm just like agreeing with and yesing all the stuff that I want. And they're like, Lord, that you would teach him patience. I don't want to learn patience just yet. That's hard,
Yeah,
like,
you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful what you agree with. Yeah.
I'm not gonna agree with that, sir.
Right.
Yeah, another one, like I find myself sometimes if my shoulder's hurting, I'll say, oh, it's killing me.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes when I say that out, I just like, oh, and I even like will say out loud, I shouldn't have said that. Didn't mean that. Like Hagrid on Harry Potter. Shouldn't have said that. And I just reverse it.
100%. My thing is a lot of my battles are like ailments, right? I'll say this bum knee of mine, and I'll be like, no, this healed knee of mine.
Yeah.
And I have to, but I've already released it. So you have to, you have to train yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
And so
I know exactly what you mean. It's good old knee of mine.
That's good old knee of mine. I love
good, healthy, strong,
swollen knee.
I say thank you, Lord, for strength and healing. Yeah.
Just like, yeah. So what didn't we talk about that you want to talk about before we go? We're not rushed, but I know you have stuff to do. You traveled what, 5 hours, 6 hours?
Yeah, it was about 5 or so.
5 or 6 hours to get here. You came straight in and sat down in the seat.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are ready to roll, man.
Yeah, I want it because it usually takes us so long to get ready when guests come, and they're like an hour waiting for me to set up. So I was like, let me just
put some music on and get the vibe right.
Yeah, you was playing some of that Project 86,
man, I was listening to 30 Days Parallel. I was listening to Jonah 33. Man. I want a faith like that.
I was listening to some Primer 55 on the way down here. That took me way back. It was 2000.
What you know about this one? Adonai. Yeah.
Their bucket list, man. I want to see them so bad.
Supertones.
That's
throwback Supertones too.
Love
dude,
Supertones.
So I did themed karaoke the other night, and it was 420 themed, right? But I put some Supertones on.
420?
Well, because it was like reggae ska.
Yeah.
And then some hip hop, like Snoop Dogg.
There's no life away from.
We got to play some Supertones after this.
I played Strike Back.
Man, dude, they had a lot of good songs.
They had a lot of good songs.
Supertones, Strike Back. You're not a Sons of Zephaniah, not afraid to be a martyr. That's somebody I wanted to work with.
Oh yeah.
Matt is his first name. I forgot his last name, but that would be. I wanted to work with all those dudes. Got to interview a good bit of those throwback 38th Parallel, Andrew Schwab.
You got Schwab?
Yep, These Five Down. Yeah, I interviewed, like, it was so cool to be able to interview.
Have you heard their new stuff? The Omni record?
It's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah. His new stuff's getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, not to say getting better, like, just it sounds more old. You know what I'm saying? Because we like the old project. So the newer stuff was heavy.
Self-titled, drawing black lines.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah.
Listen to.
That's what. Yeah. And of course, they did that. What was it Pipe Dream he did with Sonny Sandoval?
No, Six Sirens.
Six Sirens. That's right. And I think Pipe Dream was on the Solid State.
That was that single. Yeah.
It was on This Is Solid State Volume 2.
His mouth looked like it was this wide. It had to be some kind of lens, right? Like on his.
Right.
His mouth was so wide, screaming.
Good stuff, man. Yeah.
Playing on the Christian channels, and we're like, this is Christian? This is scary.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you say, and I remember you telling me that you, you drew a lot of your original inspiration. You saw PAX 217? Is that who you saw?
Yeah, we saw, we saw them a lot. Yeah, I loved
We had them on earlier.
I never saw those guys live, but I loved them, dude.
Y'all keep talking. I'm going to go grab something. So keep talking about music.
Yeah, we saw PAX 217 a couple times at I think both. Was it both times at Grace Fest? Yeah. So did you ever go to Grace Fest?
I didn't.
It was kind of like a Christian Bay Fest, and it was in Pensacola. But they had all these bands come and all these different stages, and at the time we were newly married and very low income. So we would volunteer to work for a few hours, and they would let you,
That's how you get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hack. I like that.
Yeah.
No, I remember going to, what was it called? Festival Con Dios.
Oh, yeah. We went to that once.
Oh, yeah. Jeremy
Toby
Camp.
Mac.
Yeah, Toby Mac was there. Pillar was there. Oh, man. I was like, man.
So I may have showed you this before, but I'm going to show the camera real quick. Have I showed this to you?
I don't think so.
So Andrew Schwab, which is the lead singer,
pen that?
Yep, of Project 86, for donations, he would any lyric that you want, like he's big into calligraphy, and he would write out all the lyrics if it was the whole song.
That's rad. Dude.
Like he'd sit there for, if he sent him $100 or something, or 25, it was pretty cheap stuff that he was doing to fund one of his projects. And I was like, this was always like, it's from the first album, and this is the hour where truth divides.
Right. That's
this
rad,
is the
dude.
hour, and he signed at the bottom.
Yeah, I saw
So
the
he made
AS at
that
the
for
bottom.
me.
Dude.
So you sent them any?
How long have you had it?
Man,
Long time.
yeah. I mean, everything goes to 2017.
That's the number that comes to my head too. But
I feel like if we looked up when I interviewed him, which is probably 2017, around that time.
8 or 9 years.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite
That's
lyrics,
rad.
and it was. I forgot what I don't even know what I paid for it. It was less than $100 for sure.
That's pretty cool, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, so I thought that was a cool piece of art. And then I ended up buying. So I interviewed the guys from These Five Down, and on eBay there was from some of the old HM magazines.
Yeah,
there was a fold out of These Five Down, and I think PAX 217 on the other side, and I bought it for like $5. So when I ended up interviewing those guys, and I was like, "Hey, let me show you what I got," and I pulled it out, and they were like, "What?" I got to see old
nice
magazine.
I think I remember that. Was it 2 or 3 of the guys from These Five Down?
Yeah, 2 of the guys. I was trying to encourage them as much as I can to keep going and put out music. It's kind of, it's kind of weird, when you get to interview some of those people and not fanboy out, because you're always reliving the album you love. Even so, I know Schwab was he probably didn't like talking to me, because I'm just talking about the first 2 albums.
Right.
And he was like, "Man, I'm working on a new project. We got a new tour." I'm like, "Hey, man, but those first 2 albums, dude.
Yeah,
you need to do more like that.
Right.
You need to rap some." Because I think I sent him. I want to say it was Schwab. I think it was Schwab, and it was before this. I was trying to get him on a feature, and so I sent him some beats and stuff, and he said, "Okay, just send me some of your stuff, and I'll check it out, and I'll see about if I can do something." And I sent him the rap stuff. It was rap beats, and He's like, yeah, I'm not really feeling it. I was like, hey man, just just a course or something would be great. You're like a huge inspiration to me, man. I really am inspired by what you do, and I think I get a lot of my style from you. It rubbed off on me. He's like, I don't see how. I
Wow.
don't see how. I think he was talking more about the subject matter, like the subject matter of like the rapping of like aliens and far out supernatural
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
He's probably like, dude,
He's
that's
like,
not me,
nah,
bro.
hey,
What are you talking about?
I inspired none of that. I rebuke this in Jesus' name.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Anyway, fanboy out on
Hey,
Christian music has some good music. It still does, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a new, you get into hip hop and stuff. I came across Indie Tribe recently.
Mm-hmm.
You heard any of their stuff?
You told me about them.
Okay. Yeah. Indie Tribe, dude, I just came across them on like TikTok or something like that. And it says something like the new generation of Christian rap is hot or something like that. And I started listening. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, cause whenever you hear the word Christian in front of something, you automatically think, okay, B-side, it goes into a category.
Yeah.
Sometimes it surprises the heck out of you. You're just
Yeah.
like, okay, these guys got talent.
Well, that's what I did with these 5 Down and 30th Parallel, because that's what we did as Christians. We're like, oh, I don't have to listen to Disturbed anymore.
Right.
I've got these 5 Down.
Right.
So, and I think I had them on podcast. Like, I know I asked them about those charts and stuff because we love those charts.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to listen to Lil Wayne. There's T-Bone.
Mhm.
Sometimes those charts were accurate. Other times they weren't.
Mhm.
You don't have to listen to. I
Old
remember
T-Bone.
3 6 Mafia.
Yeah.
You don't have to listen to 3 6 Mafia. You can listen to these guys, and when they were accurate, they were cool, and you would find new. You don't have to listen to Linkin Park. You can listen to 38th Parallel.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think
Falling Up was another band that was kind of inspired by Linkin Park, at least on their first record.
yeah,
Mhm.
right. Until they learned how to make radio hits, and then it's like, hey,
What did they do?
same thing with Cutlass.
Yeah.
Cutlass find out how to, like, there's more money in
And writing worship
singles.
songs, yeah.
worship singles than putting out some hard rock, Christian rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And they haven't looked back yet.
No.
That first album was dope, though.
It was good.
Skillet too. They've changed a lot over the years. Like one of my favorite worship albums is their Ardent Worship that he did with his wife Corey, and it's like nowhere on the scales. Like totally different than what they would do now on the radio. But
yeah, that Ardent Worship record is a good one. That one song that stands out to me is like Jesus Be Glorified, I think is the name of it.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
I Saw Angels Fall Down.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
No, that one and Hey You, I Love Your Soul was.
That's a good record. Yeah,
there's a lot of. Good
I remember
ones
meeting Skillet when they first got together. At you remember the winter jams they used to have?
Mm-hmm.
So
they still do them.
Yeah. Okay, they still do them. So they had something called Winter Extreme, which was like a conference that they did up in Gatlinburg. It's like 3 days, and for a short time they had Summer Extreme. The first one that they did was like in '97, I think it was. It was down in Panama City Beach, and I went to that one. And that's where I got to meet John Cooper. He looked like he was what's his name from
Kurt Cobain or something.
Yeah, he looked like Kurt Cobain.
Because that's that first album.
That's right. And I'd never heard anything like it. I remember meeting him. He had on bell bottoms and a referee jersey. He had the long hair and the little goatee patch or whatever. And we went back there and was chatting with him. And he was like, "Dude, why'd they call you guys? Why you guys call yourself Skillet?" And they said something to the effect of, "Well, everybody that we talked to said that our music sounded like you took different versions of rock and threw it in a frying pan, but frying pan didn't have a nice ring to it, so it went with Skillet."
People would bring Skillet to the concert and hold them up.
And he called his fans panheads and stuff. And another side note there was the day that was the same weekend that Audio Adrenaline, I saw them for the first time, and Will McGinnis, you remember the bassist? He actually walked up in the crowd and was like standing right next to me. And I looked over at my brother and I was like, "Dude, that's Will McGinnis. That's the bassist for Audio Adrenaline." He's like, "Nuh-uh." I was like, "Yeah, dude, that's him." And then when they introduced the band, he literally just jumped up off the stage, took his beanie off, threw down his backpack, and picked up his bass. And it was awesome. It was a good day. Yeah. Long time ago, though. But yeah, man.
Simple times.
Simple times.
We like to relive those times. Going to, at the Deftones concert, we go to concerts, man. That's what we do.
Same.
We put on concerts. And if there's any, we have we wanted to get 9 Inch Nail tickets because we haven't seen them, and there's a bucket list. But we have to get 2, and then get a hotel, and so it was just too expensive, man. So we didn't get to go see Nine Inch Nails. But
Did you know that Nine Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack for the new Tron movie?
oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
He's
Daft Punk
done
did
a couple of them, man.
So yeah, the
soundtracks.
Both the members of Nine Inch Nails have collectively done individually 27 different motion picture scores, but under the name Nine Inch Nails, this will be their first one. So I know that Tron.
Did you know
Tron Legacy was Daft Punk, which Daft Punk is no more. So now it's going to be Tron Ares, and it's coming out later this year, and it's going to be Nine Inch Nails. I'm kind of excited, but I don't know what they're going to do.
No, it's good. Did you know you heard that they wrote the music for, or at least a sample for Old Town Road?
Mm-mm.
You didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna take my horse to.
I know the song,
Old Town.
but I didn't know that was a.
Oh yeah, I gotta play it for you. I gotta figure out the name of the song. Let me see. Hey Google, what song did Old Town Road sample from Nine Inch Nails? He got paid from it too, bro. They sampled it. He heard it later, and it was like the biggest song, like for a year. You know what I'm saying? And so he, but it was on one of his instrumental albums.
Okay.
Because he working on so much music, they're just putting out just random.
Are you gonna play it? You might get a copyright strike.
I don't care. It's worth it. I'm muted out. He's gonna be like, I got you on.
Mm-hmm.
Should I play it or no?
I don't think so.
You want that money?
Of course. We have rent to pay and medical bills and all this stuff.
You
yeah.
did just get through saying you had bills, so that's all right. You just send it to me or whatever.
That's not gonna pick up. I'm talking over it. We're talking. I'm gonna take my horse to the Old Town Road. Go ahead and pause it. Don't let too much play. But did you hear it?
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
Yeah, I can
That's
hear it.
crazy, huh?
Yeah, that's rad. What song is that? 34 Ghosts.
It wasn't enough. I'm talking to Aaron.
You would know more than me. I'm just warning you because
I just learned
get
something,
in trouble all the time.
I love learning stuff like that. There are lots and lots and lots of samples and things.
I love, seeing where they come from. But that was one that was like out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh my God.
Okay.
Who found that though? Like the producer had to be somebody.
Well, now they have so much automated stuff they could probably like pick it up. The
Most
AI
of the hits,
and
yeah, but the producer had to know like this song.
Most of the hits you hear
crazy.
nowadays is going to be recycled from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of original hits.
There's just one artist.
Whenever I got my car to drive down here, and I said, I was like, "Hey Siri, play some music." Guess who was the first one that popped up in my queue?
Marilyn Manson?
No.
TruthSeekah.
TruthSeekah.
Oh, Truthie.
D-Lo.
Some of that white magic popped up in there.
White magic for the magi.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember which song it was, but it was one from White Magic. I know that much. And then right after that, it played Flowdan. I was like, "Wow, that's an interesting follow up."
I think we're gonna get vinyls pressed up. I think we're gonna do. I told you we had like one, and they're expensive, but I think we're gonna get vinyls pressed up.
Well, you got a customer right here, bro. So.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, it was the first CD I sold in 10 years was to Reggie.
Yeah,
people want to buy them. I just don't have them on the website.
Gotcha.
And I found an old box, and Reggie's like, "When you come to Atlanta, bring some CDs." And I was like, "I got you."
He said, "I got 4 of them." I said, "I'll take all 4 of them."
Tell the story of Weebo.
Oh my gosh!
And because I would have had more CDs. I had 2 boxes.
So there's this kid. We think he's a kid. He never goes to school, and he rides a 3-wheel bicycle around the neighborhood. He looks young, but it's like, sometimes you can't tell.
It could be 15 or 50.
Yeah. Anyway,
no.
Truth, like, lovingly named him Weebo.
I think
we don't know his real name
because we didn't know his real name, and he rides the bike, and you can hear him.
Yeah.
So it's from the Friday movie, Debo.
Yeah.
Hey, here come Debo, man. How'd you change, man? Debo's coming. So he's riding this little bike. Right? We're like, oh, that's not Debo. That's Weebo.
Because he's little.
The little version.
But
yeah, I got you.
He's always coming around asking for money and stuff like that. And he gave him a box of CDs one day. He's like, look, sell these CDs for $10 a piece.
He's making up stories on why he needs money.
Yeah, he's like, take these 20 CDs, sell them for $10 a piece, and just bring me half. You keep half. You keep 5 from each CD. Bring me 5.
Because he goes to all the churches and stuff and youth groups. I was like, make $50.
But he took the box And then we didn't see him for a really long time. And then finally we did see him. And he said, oh, the cops got me. The cops wouldn't let me sell them. They said it was illegal. And
the cops woke all the CDs, man.
Yeah.
They woke all of them. They said they're going to take me to jail on these CDs. I had to get rid of them. Man, you lying, bro.
So Weebo deboed them, huh?
He did.
So
He did.
probably what happened is he got the box of CDs and went and sat on a hill somewhere and opened each one because there's cellophane wrap. You know, there's a certain feeling when you're opening a CD, right?
Right.
Or a Christmas present, like, and you hear that little rip.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, and you look at it and look at the case and the cover and the book. I'm sure he just looked at it and just grabbed the CD and threw it, and then just grabbed the next one. And, oh, what's this one? Cool, and just threw. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But so now there's no more asking Truthie for money. It's like, hey, bro, you got my money, cuz?
That's right.
No, I don't have your money.
Truthie be asking Weebo for money.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
You got my,
I got to pay for them CDs.
he hasn't asked me for money again.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have been
Believe that.
it would have been a cool little come up for him. Like,
Mm-hmm.
go to churches. He said, does it have any cussing on the CDs? I said, ain't no cussing. It's Christian rap, bro. And most of it was like the esoteric. So a pastor could have made him throw it. They probably could have put it in. It's like talking about Kundalini Ray.
Right.
Pastor probably
What was that
stomped
one?
on him.
What's that one?
Kundalini.
Age
you're
of
right.
Aquarius. Yeah.
Yeah. Age of Aquarius. This is demonic.
No, that's right.
Yeah. Weebo. So I would have had more CDs.
Y'all need to quit playing with them demons.
Yeah.
Man. Oh, so I don't know who to ask because I think you remember. Do you want to tell the story? Because it's my story, but you know it.
What's that?
Man, I just got cut.
Yeah, you tell it, bro. You tell it.
I've been talking.
Because we keep
else.
saying, man. And I said, y'all need to quit playing with them demons.
Man, I just need to call.
Didn't you say it was Furman?
Yeah. I don't think I have his number. I'm gonna try to call him. I doubt I have his number. He relocated.
You said he was like at a prayer meeting or something like that, and he said,
"Hold on, wait. Yeah, we let me. I'm gonna try because I think it'll be a lot funnier if he shares it.
Okay.
Which I don't think he'll. So I sent him this picture. You want to show the camera right quick?
Yeah. Let's see.
So you gotta show your hand. So that's us that's me. That's us and that's us at Deftones with you. So I showed him that we were hanging out together. I sent him that picture.
Right on.
And he said, it's been years. Still the GOAT, my brother. They called me the greatest of all time. Just like in Mobile, like, oh, you was the best in Mobile because you had
Mob Town's finest.
Because I had, I had all the technology. Like I always had CDs and T-shirts and stickers. Anytime we did
you
shows,
had your own recording, your own booth at the house too. I remember that. Now you said something about he was at a prayer meeting or something like that, and
we was all there together.
Yeah, and he had said something about like, man, y'all get cut. Y'all get cut. That demon had cut me or something like that. Is that what he said?
Yeah. He said, I ain't get cut. He was holding his head.
He was holding his head.
A demon got cast out of somebody?
Yeah.
And it cut him? Or he felt like it cut him?
Yeah.
He said, man.
I got cut.
Well, what was that time he was talking about, y'all need to quit playing with them demons? What was that?
Oh, that's when he was, we was at a concert and he just, people be going through a lot. People have hard times, and you give them a microphone. It's not good. I mean, and I'm one of those people going through a hard time, and I've got a microphone. I'm here crying and sobbing on camera. But he was at a concert that we put on, and they gave him the mic, and he just, y'all need to quit playing with them demons. Y'all need to quit listening to Joyce Meyer. Joyce Meyer playing with them demons. She a man anyway. She act like a man. He just went in on like all these preachers to where we were like, hey, man, somebody needs to cut his mic off, man. He's like, it's not, and then he started crying. I can't do it no more. He was like crawling on the stage, like, oh man, like we got to get the mic from Furman. He was like, y'all need to quit playing with them demons. Quit playing with them demons. Joyce Meyer, she got plastic surgery. She looked like a duck. It was like, oh, Furman, stop. But it was funny because like me being militant at the time, I was like, hey, you're right. Yeah. But then it was like, hold on, this man having a mental breakdown on stage in front of all these people.
God bless him.
There was a guy there in the crowd praying for people.
Okay.
And he's like, brother, let me pray for you. So he was like trying, kind of stealing the show in the crowd. And he's like some evangelist or something just in the crowd praying for different people. He's like, brother, let me pray for you. So he prayed for the white boy with dreadlocks, I was the only white dude there. And I had my glasses on. He said, let me see your glasses, brother. And I took my glasses off and handed them to him. And he took them and he put them in a handkerchief and he rolled them up. I thought that he was going to throw them on the ground and make me stomp on them on an act of faith to get my eyesight healed. I was scared that I was like,
you was waiting for something crazy. Yeah.
He's fixing to make me step on my glasses so my eyes can be healed. He didn't do it, but I was scared to death. I just knew that, the power of persuasion. Mm-hmm. And I probably would have did it knowing like it's not going to work, or even believing that it would work. This is what the Lord takes, an act of faith, a divine moment. Mm-hmm. One moment is all it takes with Jesus. Brother, if you step on your glasses, the Lord will heal your sight even now. Even now. There's probably people listening to me now taking off their glasses, breaking them, and their eyesight's getting restored. Like, that's what I thought I was going to be that guy. But he didn't do it. He didn't tell me to. I was like, what are we doing with our lives? How did I end up here?
Right.
You seen that meme of like a dude? It's this dude in a like it looks like a bathtub full of milk. It's like this. He's sitting in the bathtub. He looks like he's bugged out, and there's this old lady who looks just as bugged out, wearing like a white dress and like maybe holding a staff or something. And it's like me going through my trauma and this shaman lady I met on the internet, and this is kid like in the bathtub, like, how did I end up here?
Right.
That's how I felt. That's how you feel right now. I was going to see my family.
Nah, you good, bud.
We're having an intervention.
Nah, you good, brother. Ain't no feelings going on, but good things right now.
We're not gonna air this episode anyway.
Nah, it's all good.
This is how you know.
Just send me the link.
When I start like letting it down, it's like, Arien, talk. Arien hasn't said much. Talk. Do we end it? Because we need a timer.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching the time. It's been nearly 2 hours.
Some good catching up. We got some catching up. We did some
a lot of good stories.
Yeah, for us. The listeners like, man, I'm unsubscribing. Now somebody just broke their glasses and they're driving.
That's right. They threw them out the window.
So now we have to release the prayer of faith over them.
That's right. Go for it.
I did that a minute. Man, I threw an Osiris hoodie off one time. Probably it was hers. I don't even think it was mine. Yeah. I was at work driving the truck praying, and like I was wearing an Osiris hoodie. I was like, this says Osiris. Osiris is a demon. I threw the Osiris hoodie out the window.
Yeah, I guess everything was a demon at some point or another to us, man. Yeah,
to the hammer, everything looks like a nail.
That's right. That's right. It's all about the condition of the heart, man.
And she's up in here on this podcast wearing a demonic shirt. Show your shirt off.
It's not demonic.
You know you like a perfect circle.
A perfect circle. It's not demonic.
And it's a triangle.
And it's a triangle.
It's a tree of life.
Not confusing at all.
It's the tree of life.
Triangle.
Yeah, the Trinity. Holy Trinity.
Man.
Yeah. The tree does look like a being. It's got like a head and arms.
Even better.
It might be kind of pagan.
Anything. That's what I say. Like,
it's all pagan.
For like, there's this thing. What I've been saying, because like with that idea, that it's all pagan. It's like what we used to do, and people still do it. Is what I say. We're just the best at disrespecting things. We're just disrespectful. Like anything, any other god, any other religion, we just love. We're masters of disrespect of other people's things that they call sacred or holy, and so we blaspheme like their religious relics and things that mean a lot to them and all that kind of stuff, And that's one thing I just want to stop doing. I think I've gotten pretty
And you wonder like where that kind of belief originated, because you see in the Bible even Paul going to the temple of Demeter and he didn't blaspheme. He visited the temple and didn't destroy it or turn tables over or...
People in their group they were named like followers of Demeter or followers of Venus. That was their name, but their name, was something different in English that you would never know. Like,
because they wanted to like capture Paul and kill him for visiting the temple, but the guy in charge was like, he didn't do anything. He
Right.
literally didn't desecrate the temple or even speak badly of
If
any
you go
of
into
this.
somebody else's house and disrespect them, are they going to listen to the message you bring?
Right.
Right.
You know, and that's the thing. It's like the only time you see tables being overturned was the people who knew better.
That
or
was
at least
his
should have.
house.
Yeah, it
His
was
father's
his own
house.
father's house, right?
Yeah.
You overturn tables in your own house, not
Yeah.
not in someone who's invited you as their guest.
Yes.
And
exactly.
so
Young
that's
TruthSeekah.
we are, if you look at it, like we are almost always a guest in someone else's house. Conduct yourself differently, and you'll respect whatever it is they think is sacred.
Yeah.
Or at least not out of the thing, but out of goodwill toward them.
Even here, we're visitors here. We're strangers here.
That's right.
This is not where we're from.
Yeah.
And to
Walk quietly.
come here and to dishonor, disrespect, destroy the earth, destroy each
abuse
other.
people,
like-
abuse women,
So wrong.
abuse animals.
We got to remember who we
plants,
are.
Our bodies.
These
We're-
earth suits.
We're disrespectful.
Mm-hmm.
But we're trying to fix that. I would say
Yeah.
we are the power team. Everybody listening.
The power team.
Anybody got a
The
phone book?
Captain Planet.
Yeah.
What's a phone book? They don't
Yeah.
make phone books anymore.
That's funny. Yeah.
The phone books had addresses in them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It wasn't just your name and phone number. It had your address.
Okay, let's end it with a fun question. What should the power team rip in half now that there are no phone books?
A deck of cards.
TruthSeekah's
Well, that
glasses.
would be hard.
Tarot cards.
You said tarot cards.
That's too easy. I don't
TruthSeekah's
know.
glasses.
I don't know
I
what I
can't
would pick.
break these cuffs. Remember they used to break cuffs? Though?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And that little dude couldn't
And
break their
chains,
cuffs.
yeah. All kind of like random stuff.
I can break these cuffs.
The power of Christ. Yeah. I remember that. That was actually pretty cool. But you know, it's like getting crunk in the name of
When you're
getting
7.
crunk for the Lord. Yeah, yeah. You said when you're 7. Reminds me of that Hardee's commercial. Because Hardee's taste good when you're 7 or whatever.
Yeah. I guess that's the end of the podcast.
I guess so.
I guess this is it. Why are you still here now? Thanks for hanging out with us. We are not good at segue. We have some segue stuff, and but segueing the end of a podcast because we don't want it to end, man.
Which it's kind of a cheat because for us it's not going to end because we're just going to go and hang out with Reggie some more.
Why don't we just hang out on the mic?
Just
and
keep
camera?
recording it. Yeah. You never know.
It's called the vlog.
That's right.
Nah, but we do have a retreat coming up that we're excited about.
Mount Shasta, vortex,
UFOs.
beautiful energy, nature.
Oh, let's talk about that before we end. The UFO. You remember, like one of our last interactions years ago, before there was a gap, was like we both prayed to see a UFO, and like we might have saw the same thing like the same weekend, because we like both called each other to tell each other like what we saw. And you were like, brother, I was in my car driving and I prayed and I swear to you, I looked up and I saw a cigar-shaped craft or something like. Didn't you
There
tell
was
me?
a couple of, yeah.
Because I saw the same thing.
I remember I
that
got on
same
the phone with
weekend.
Watchman because he was asking me about it too. I think I ended up talking to Watchman about it as well during that time. There was one that I was driving down the highway and I saw, and it looked like it was 2 white, UFOs that became one. And
During
then
the day or night?
it was during the day.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which one. I'm going to tell you about 2 different ones. And I don't remember which one I talked to you about, but I remember I talked to Watchman about this. And it became one, and then it's like, and I could see it as clear as day, clear blue sky. And then I kind of like blinked my eyes like to make sure I was seeing it, and it disappeared.
Yeah.
And then the other one was at night, and that was an orb. It was like a reddish color, not exactly deep red though. And I was driving down the drive to my apartment that I lived in, and I could feel something watching me. I don't remember if I was driving or walking. I might have been walking. I might have been out for a walk. And I felt like something was watching me, right? And I turned and looked, and just above the trees, and it was literally just above the trees.
Oh, wow.
Like I feel like I could have thrown a rock and hit it. And it was an orb of light. And when I looked at it, it went from being completely there to like it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I couldn't say it shut off. It just kind of shrunk and disappeared like that. So it wasn't like a light, like you flip a switch. It was like a substance of some sort. So those are the two experiences that I had around that same time.
Yeah.
And so the first one looked like flying craft. The second one, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, it must
but
have
I
been the
know
first one you told me about. Yeah.
it was probably the first one. They happened within the same time period.
Yeah.
But the second one, it felt like something was watching me.
Huh.
The first
And
one
that's why you
was
called Watchman. Because hey, your name's Watchman, and I really
you
felt
up in
like
them trees
something
watching me, brother.
was
Yeah,
watching me.
exactly.
Was it you?
Was it you?
Yes, it was me, brother.
But yeah, no, that what was the one that you said? Did you see something?
That time, yeah. So we were in Destin, and this was years ago, and I was riding the jet ski with John, like towards Crab Island, and at that time I'm like always looking up, still am, but it's like wanting to see something. It's during the day, and yeah, just saw a cylinder craft just hovering in the sky, just moving really slow. It was like a plane, but with no wings. And by the time I was like, "Hey, stop," because it was shallow that we can get off. As soon as we stopped or whatever, I tried to get him to look up because he was always trying to, he was big into him too, but he didn't get a chance to see it. But it was like the cigar shaped one.
I could tell you one I probably almost called you about, but I
ago.
didn't because I realized that it wasn't what I thought
I
it
wouldn't
was.
have believed.
Dude, it was when I was living in Mobile and I was driving my work van and I saw what looked like your classic round silver UFO, clear as day. It was round, spherical. I'm sitting there like, I'm like freaking out because it's pretty close. It's not so far away that, you're like, I don't know, is that just a reflection or is it a blur? It was clear. And I'm sitting here like, what am I looking at right now? Yeah, is this what I think it is? My heart's, beating and palpitating, all that stuff. And then it starts to turn. And it was the Goodyear blimp.
Oh.
Yeah.
But because of the way it was facing, it looked completely round and spherical.
Yeah.
And I thought I was seeing an alien spacecraft.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes what you're looking at isn't what you think it is.
That's why I tell people all the time. It's like I call myself a skeptic, and I think it's good. It's healthy to be a skeptic. Like what else could it be first,
right?
Besides the thing that you want it to be? Because like I want it to be a UFO so bad, but it was a plane. Because when planes are flying directly towards you at night, they're freaking super bright with their headlights or whatever. And then they fly right over you, and they are planes. But there's footage of UFOs turning into planes as well, so there's that. But I'm the same way, and so I have so many different sightings and experiences. I'm like, if just one of them was real, once I start having them and writing them down, and it's like, okay, that was just a flock of birds, or that was just this, or that was just that. It's like now I have 17 of them. One of them could be real. I still like to say that I'm that way, a skeptic, just so I can make sure that I see the real thing. We I don't know if you've heard this story, but one of our retreats, we always end our retreats with stargazing, and we have military grade night vision goggles, and we bring those out and we get under the stars with those, and freaking amazing. And so it was only 3 of us at this retreat. I didn't really promote it. It was Steven, the voice. Remember him? Him and my buddy Martin Smith. And so it was just us 3. And so we do a cacao ceremony. We do breath work, getting really deep, just getting into some real spiritual, beautiful energy, worship music, that kind of thing. End of the night, we go out to the field, and it's scary because it's like pitch black. Like it's a new moon. And you can barely see your hand in front of your face. It's so dark. And so we go out there to this field, and so we're like, okay, there's jaguars out here, like some kind of panthers or something. Like we're in trouble if there's anything out here. But I had the night vision, so we're looking up to the sky. We're just asking for a sighting and stuff. And I learned several retreats in that people were experiencing not stuff out of the atmosphere in the sky, but they were experiencing lights in the woods that were moving. And they were trying to get me to look, but I was like, no, we got these goggles and we're looking up here.
Right.
That's just probably a lightning bug. And I've had like profound experiences with some kind of lightning bug looking things. but I guess it was a lesson for me because there was nothing in the sky, but this thing, we just went all the way around us, like in the circumference of a circle. And then there was a bunch of them just in the woods blinking. They weren't blinking, they were pulsing.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, still the skeptics like, it could be lightning bugs, but they look different. They were a different color. The way they lit up and just came in and out. It's like, this looks a little bit different. And Martin was like, nah, brother, that's not lightning bugs. These things are communicating with us. I was like, all right, let's try to get close to them. And we were like, still, it's kind of scary. And I'm trying to get close to it. And when we get real close to one, and me and Martin are just like fixated. Stephen was kind of spooked because it was very spooky out there. But he's like, hey, I think they want us to leave, bro. I think he started getting like real scared, wanting to leave. And me and Martin are like, nah, we're here for this. Like, we want to make sure. So me and Martin are like, if you can hear us, and can you change forms for us? Can you maybe take on the form of a woman or something, and say hello? And we were like childlike awe and wonder, like maybe this could happen. And as soon as we say that, Steven's like, nah, man, no, I can't see nothing like that, bro. I can't. We gotta go now. We gotta go. And he starts panicking. So now the energy shifts, right? Because now we're like expecting. He's like, oh no, we gotta go, man. I'm leaving, y'all. And he starts walking out by himself and scared and tripping over stuff. And as he did that, bro, where the light goes out, and I see in the pitch black a silhouette of a 3-foot dude being come running up and run right around me and Martin and did like a half circle and ran back. And I was like, it was so dark that I'm a skeptic too. And I'm like, did I just see that, or was my mind playing tricks on me?
Right.
And so I said, hey, Martin. He said, oh, the little dude.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you saw the little dude?
You saw him too.
You saw it too? And I didn't even have to tell you?
Right.
I didn't have to convince you. He said, the little dude? Yeah, I saw him. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
I was like, if Stephen wouldn't have come, like, what could we have encountered?
Right.
Because Stephen's like, nah, man, we got an agreement, man. They know not to show up like that for me. They know I'm scared of them. Because he had like demonic experiences with shadow beings and stuff. So if he would have seen that shadow, he might have had a heart attack or something. Mm-hmm. And shoot, me too. But like, it was so fast. But yeah, like these.
And that's what I've had conversations with people about things like this, and it's really cool because there are some people out there. I think a lot of times you feel like you need to have people out there like, I'm going to keep telling people till I find somebody who believes me, or maybe they've had a similar experience. A lot of times we're trying to feel like, okay, well, am I crazy? You know, did I see that? Like you said, you immediately had a confirmation. A lot of people never get that confirmation. So they're stuck with thinking, okay, did I really see that? Did I really hear that? Did I really experience that? Yeah. And for me, it's like, you know, sometimes the experience is for you.
Yeah.
You need to treat it as a sacred experience.
Yeah.
And then sometimes not everybody gets that confirmation, that affirmation from somebody else, you know, like, yeah, I experienced the same thing.
No, that's what this podcast does, though.
Right. That's what this is here for, you. Because there might be somebody listening or watching who is like, yo, I saw something similar. And that was what it was for me whenever I was younger. I saw the people in white. I'd see them in broad daylight. But it was always catching just a glimpse, just quick enough to know I saw something, but you're kind of like, wait a minute, where'd they go?
I wish I would have seen those. I saw the people in black.
I did see the shadow people standing in my doorway when I was younger, and I always thought it was my dad standing there watching over us as we slept.
Yeah.
And I'd say, Daddy, and it would just stand there. And so I'd go walk, and I knew just as soon as I stuck my head out, I was gonna hit his flesh, feel the, you know, his hairy chest or something, you know, because he, you know, usually at night he'd, you know, go topless or whatever. And I'm sitting here thinking, and I'll walk right through it. And that happened several times whenever I was young. But then as I got older, I started seeing the people in white, and they were always watching me, always running, like in the distance somewhere. And I remember, and I've never talked to anybody who said, yeah, I've seen the same thing. But I've, in my 20s, around the same time that I saw the orb of light and the UFOs or whatever they were, UAPs, whatever they're calling them nowadays. I did pray and was asking around the same time. I was like, if this is something that I saw, will you let me see it again? I think I was around 24, something like that. And it was at nighttime, and I normally always seen them in the day. And I was pulling out. I was in my car, and I was pulling out of the driveway or the road that led to my apartments, and my headlights caught a man in white running away from me.
Wow.
And
it was Wade Dimmers.
No, it definitely wasn't Wade Dimmers. But the cool thing was he was right across the highway.
Yeah.
And the minute I blinked, no, you're good. But the minute I blinked, I didn't see him anymore. But I know I saw him.
Yeah.
And it was literally, I had just prayed before I left my apartment. And I was just like, if I really saw that when I was a kid, will you let me see it one more time? I saw it, and that was probably 2011. Yeah. It was a while back. And that's all I needed. I can go the rest of my life and not see it and know what I saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I saw those beings. They're people, I don't know if they're angels watching over me. I don't know what they are. But it's like I saw them, and I know I saw them, and maybe one day it'll all make sense. But right now, if anybody listening has seen somebody in white, there you go.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. If somebody listens totally had that encounter.
Yeah.
I don't think I have.
I've seen a blue person, a blue being, and they had like patterns all over their skin.
Like the Na'vi.
Similar.
She said more like, what's that guy?
This one looked more like the guy on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
He's got those patterns, the big buff guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're talking about Drax, right? He's kind of like gray with the red scars.
Yes. Yeah, it was more like that.
She said she heard him doing like what do you call it? Like not Gregorian, but like
he was praying, but it was
kind of like low hum over her and stuff in the bedroom,
like a guttural chant type of language. And it's so weird when you have these experiences that it's not English words, but you just have a knowing of what they're saying, Yeah. And he was praying protection over us. It was a time when I was going through a lot of mental battles. It was after my healing experience, and I had a lot of stuff coming out of me that was still fighting to stay. And yeah, I was just begging God, like, to send somebody to protect me and him. And it was very strange. Like, I woke up, I was not dreaming, because I keep dream journals and stuff. Like, I can tell the difference. And I woke up and saw this being in our room. And it sounds like, if you know who I'm talking about describing, like, you would think it would be scary, but there was no fear at all. Like, but I saw him. It was almost like translucent. So he wasn't like fully there, but I could see him and hear the prayers. And I immediately got the interpretation of the prayers, and weird mannerisms and stuff. Like, the way it translated, it was almost like what we were talking about earlier, kind of like catchphrases that aren't used anymore, but I knew what it meant.
Right.
And I had an immediate like feeling of peace and protection wash over me, and I went back to sleep.
No, it was more like the other guy.
No, I mean, it looked like that, but he had patterns, like
so more like the other one.
Scroll like patterns all over the skin.
So that's the dude from The Watchmen or whatever. But it wasn't like him. It was more like the other guy.
Just because of the patterns, yeah. His entire skin was covered with patterns.
I think, you know his name, Reggie? It's so weird how this all works, though.
You're talking about the name for Drax? The guy who played Drax?
Yeah.
Give me 5 seconds, I'll tell you.
Or the character.
Yeah, that's exactly what he looked like. Just,
Dave Bautista.
Yeah, I played him. Hey, what you doing, brother?
Hey, what's going on with you? How everything going?
Oh, pretty good. Just got somebody who wanted to say hello to you for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
Put it to the mic.
What's up, brother Fireman?
Hey, how you doing? Long time no see.
I'm trying to get you where we can get you on the camera. I don't know if that's
No,
gonna
on
work
the
or
mic,
not. On the mic. Okay, we'll do it on the mic. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing great. How you been? A long time.
I've been good, man. I've been good.
Hey, awesome.
We was in here talking about you a little bit.
Got cut.
Oh, hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah, Derek was talking about that time you got cut. You remember that?
You got cut.
Yeah. Tell him, Derek.
He knows.
Talking about
We was at a church service.
at a church service. He said something like a demon had cut you or something like that.
That was some long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was good times, right?
Oh, yeah, great time.
Get,
It was a day.
getting cut by a demon is not great, Furman.
Well, anyway.
We're doing a podcast, bro. I figured I'd hit you up.
He wanted to bring you in on it, man. We was talking about the old days, man. It's been a while. What you up to nowadays?
Working.
Yeah.
Still doing. Yeah, that's probably just working.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah. So
Right.
that's something I've been doing, working and making time out here in Texas.
Oh, out in Texas. Okay, so you ain't Mob Town anymore.
No, I'm not out of time. I've been in Texas going on 5 years now.
Okay,
About 5 years.
okay.
So, yeah.
Well, I've been up in Georgia on the other side of Atlanta for the past 11 years myself. So.
Oh, that's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
That's a
Furman.
long time.
Hey, Furman. I see you wearing white.
Well,
You know, we used to go out with the Israelites wearing all white in Mobile.
oh yeah. Oh, Saturday night it was like be down there all night till like 4 in the morning. That was a powerful time. So they were very powerful.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Man, that was a great time, man. You just felt the presence of God down that place.
We had some wild experiences, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did.
Love you, brother, man.
We did.
Good to see you.
Man, I love y'all too.
All right, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, talk soon.
Good to see you, brother.
You see y'all too.
All right, shalom.
All right, shalom.
Yeah, that's a precious brother, man.
Mm-hmm.
He followed me out there when I went downtown. He said when you feel like you had to do something, and I watching all those Israelite videos and people preaching downtown, which a lot of people do and film now. Like he was out there with us, and he was at all the Bible studies and still doing it. Just a sweet, precious brother. Love Furman. It's always weird. Like my name is Furman Jackson Jr. I was like, I've never met nobody named Furman. It's always just a peculiar.
I haven't met
dude.
one yet. Not him. Not besides him. You know. And
Furman I
I've
always
met
added
thousands
to his
of
name.
people. Yeah.
Furman Jackson Aloysius the third. He never checked me.
He just was like, yeah, that's who I
Quit
am.
playing.
That's me.
He didn't want to talk about the getting cut by demon thing. He was like, oh,
He said, oh, yes.
that was a long time. He remembered though.
Mm-hmm.
He had to jog his memory.
Mm.
Oh, that time my head got
Just
cut.
remember that time you got cut? He said, what you talking about? You know, he was at the church service. The demon cut you? Oh, yeah.
That was bad. Horrible. Terrible.
No,
Terrible.
he said
Terrible.
it was good times.
You blocked it out.
You had to remind
Yeah,
him.
good
You
time.
had
He
to
said-
remind him that
He
it
said it
was
was
not
good
a good time.
times. Furman, it's not
It's
good.
not good to get cut by a demon.
Demons flying around cutting folks. He said, yeah, when they leave, they fly by and they cut
Pull out
you.
that switchblade and stick you. Mm-hmm.
Cutting everybody. We all bleeding out.
Like Tyler
Help
the
me.
Creator. Tyler the Creator got you all sticky.
Pimp down. Yeah. Anyway, that is officially the end of the
That's gonna
podcast.
be
That
it.
was some good. That was some good stories we got to share
Mhm.
about these etheric beings and UFOs
That's right.
and blue beings.
Yeah.
Beings coming all shapes
And white people. No, it was people in white. Got to make that clear. That it was people in white.
You were definitely afraid of white people when you were little, and so you had that reoccurring dream of white people following you.
I don't know about that.
Wade
It
Dimmers.
was and Gene Duffy.
I say it over. But you know, being a skeptic, man, I like to be a skeptic. Like to think, like, what was that? Okay, you just saw drones, is what you saw. It was drones. Could be.
Maybe.
We have no idea. But and so I have, you know, one of my first experiences was waking up at, you know, 2 a.m, whatever. I don't know what time it was, but I was a little kid. I was like 4 years old, and I wake up with beings pinning me down to my bed in my room, and I can feel them on top of me, like these shadows, and they felt like I don't know if they were furry or what. There's weights holding me down. I'm looking, I could see them, but I couldn't move. I was in like sleep paralysis, and I don't know if I was too scared to move, or I couldn't move, or if I was just too scared because I didn't want them to know that I was up or something. Like that's what I felt like. It's like, what the heck is this? A little kid, 4 years old, but I remember it, and I feel like that set me on this trajectory of like, I always say like what movies we rented when I was a teenager, what ghost stories we told. And I would find ways to weave that in and say, and ask like, around campfires with your cousins and stuff like, has anybody ever had this happen? And eventually people say, yeah, my dad had it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear about the Hat Man. This was back in the early 90s. Oh yeah, there's a guy in a hat that used to come in my room and he'd come in there. And I was like, I'd never heard of that. That's different than just these little shadows. But come to find out now, there was a phenomena that was happening to people. Some being that's trying to dress up and pretend to be a human wearing a hat and a trench coat, So I feel like it set me on a trajectory to be who I am today, this experience at 4. But I like to toy with the idea because it's easy. I wrote about it in my book. It's easy to say, okay, these were demons that came to me, and they were scary. They were blacker than the darkest of night, and they were trying to suffocate me, or whatever you try to put in it. Or what if it wasn't? Like what if it was just my pillows stacked up on? Because I sleep with my pillows over me now, kind of because of that experience. Like I put my pillows on side of me now. Like what if you saw a vision of the future? What if I was 4 and I saw a vision of me being 40? With my pillows. What if that was my wife on one side and my dog who's very heavy? Like what if it was a premonition? It's this what if,
right?
That I think it's healthy to go back versus being locked into that. Hey, there's these demons, things that
was bad because I was afraid
that get on you.
Yeah.
I did this one podcast and I was just going through the what ifs with a dude, and it's like, what if I was 4. And what if my mom and dad left the window open on accident, and there was a known pedophile that lived next door? And what if he came through the window and messed with me and caused trauma, and I was in shock and couldn't move, and I made up this story because of the man? Like, what if I talked to my mom one day and tell her the story? She said, oh yeah, because you're too young to even interpret anything was going on. It's like, oh yeah, there was that man ended up going to jail. He was molesting all the kids on the street, and we pressed charges, and you were one of the kids, and we never talked about it. Like it's like, what if you don't know? So this idea of like being locked into your beliefs or being locked into your interpretation of the sheet that you put on the thing, on your trauma, like. It showed up as 2 demons. What if it showed up as some creepy dude that climbed through the window? Like probably not, but it's fun to ask the question and say, what if,
Yeah. I think it's healthy to have skepticism and investigate, but when you know, I think too.
I'm 4. Like, what do you know? I didn't know anything when I was 24 that I thought I knew, and 34. And, so.
Yeah, but he knows. He saw him as a child, the white cloaked beings, and then asked for confirmation.
But
and he knows.
He believes. You believe you saw something. You don't know what they are. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I don't view it through a lens of fear, though. Like, there are some, I guess I was kind of going back to the point, like, you can view things like, oh, well, it made me afraid, so therefore it must be demonic, right? And we attach negative connotations to it just because we don't know, and we let the unknown cause fear. And I don't know. I always thought they were angelic beings, maybe, or what people watching over me.
Yeah.
Don't know exactly what they are. I couldn't tell you the deep meaning, but I know that I found comfort in them being there. Yeah. And I know that, it was always something I saw in the light, not in the darkness. So like the only time I saw one at night was my headlights were on him. So he was in the light. So
I feel like I've seen a movie. Oh yeah, that movie. Like at the end of The Knowing. Remember those dudes? I feel like they were There were like some Elohim type beings.
They were
that
pretty creepy in the movie, but then at the end you realize that they were.
They opened their mouth and like lights
Yeah.
came out their mouth and stuff.
Yeah, they were creepy. They were kind of painted up to be creepy throughout the movie, but in the movie, like they served like a bigger purpose, right? The salvation of mankind or whatever.
Yeah, because I know it showed. Did it show aliens at some point?
I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen.
Yeah, that was a dope movie. Book of
Mhm.
Enoch was all in it and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, there was these white people. I feel like they were wearing white. Maybe they weren't, but they had white hair, pale skin.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's it's being okay to not know.
That's right.
And to have an idea or a belief, but to say we know, because we know that's what religion did to us and messed us up and caused us to, was a catalyst for us to mess up a lot of people.
If you don't have that sheet to cast over it and you can't see it, then you need to be afraid of it. That's kind of what what religion teaches us, or at least can, is it can have that effect. Like, okay, it's not in the book, it's not in our codified theology, then it's of the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because God is not the author of confusion, brother. I was like, I don't know, but he is
Whoever is in Genesis 19, I think it is, or maybe it's whoever destroyed the Tower of Babel is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever God did that is the author of confusion.
Right.
Confound.
That's right.
Confuse.
There's lots of things that he does that in the scriptures say that his ways are not our ways, and who can know it, and things like that. So
not me. I pretend I do. I have no idea.
Right.
No idea.
Right. No, the biggest journey is to know thyself. And I tell everybody that it's like, at the end of the day, when you draw your last breath, the only person you're going to have there with you that's guaranteed is going to be there with you is you. And people are like, and I tell people all the time, the most important relationship you're going to have in your life, in this world, is that with yourself. And people say, well, the one with the Lord. I was like, okay, I get that. But
where is the Lord?
But yes, exactly. That's a good point. But
in you,
it comes to that looking within, right? And if the Lord is unknowable, I'm just kind of trying to make it simple as I can. No one knows you better than you. If you ever run into somebody and you're like, I know you better than you know yourself. No, you don't. You might see things I don't see, or I'm turning
at me like she knows me.
Well, I've had people tell me that. My ex-wife told me that.
Yeah.
And she would tell me that whenever we were having an argument, and she was trying to elevate herself to a position where I needed to listen to her over than what I knew about myself. And people that tell you that, it's like, you don't even know yourself, So don't pretend you know me better than I know me. Now, I might turn a blind eye to things that you see. It's not the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I still know that I'm
yes
messing up or whatever.
Right. We like to turn a blind eye to things, but that doesn't mean that we don't know ourselves.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, you can and will know more about yourself than you know about God the Father, because of how I don't want to say unknowable he is, but how infinite he is, So
it's good. So, ending it with more questions. Do you have a retreat coming up?
Yes.
Because all that experience that I had, it was at a retreat.
We do have a retreat coming up. It's in June 12th through the 15th at Mount Shasta, which is an amazing vortex of energy, beautiful nature all around Casa Condor, where we're going to be staying with our friend Corinne. We're going to be talking to the birds and the trees and each other, doing some sound healing, some cacao. It's going to be a magical time. And tickets are on sale for a few more days at seer.school. They're still going to be on sale after that, but the price will be a little bit more. So if you want to get them, if you're called to it, now's the time.
UFOs up top Mount Shasta. Chariots of fire travel down and save us. Do you know that lyric?
From the I don't know.
Nobody knows me. Nobody knows me better than I know me.
Exactly.
That's my lyrics.
Know thyself.
UFOs travel down and save us from disaster.
That's it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out on the website, on the podcast. You got anything you want to plug, man? Any people want to follow you? Like, I like this dude, man. Let me follow him. Let me. What's it?
I do have a website. I do have a website. Reggie Hébert. ReggyHebert.com.
Herbert. Reggy Hébert.
Hébert. Derek Roscoe.
Roscoe, how you doing?
How you doing,
hey,
Derek
man
Roscoe?
of God, praise
But
God.
I'm planning. Yeah, it's kind of just a blog site, and so a lot of stuff I talk about is. I think when I started the site, it was kind of like I think I called it "Becoming a King" or something like that.
You're doing those coffee shorts. That was cool.
I used to do those. Yeah, I might pick them back up. One of the things I kind of recently have been trying to do is bring higher vibrations.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to stay away from negative, but sometimes you
gotta kind of mix the two.
You gotta balance them out. Yeah. So the website it's kind of like a blog, and I just kind of put some things on there, and sometimes it's just real short and just something simple to contemplate. And I'm not saying I'm always right, but
so astrology, like thinking about stars,
more philosophy, really. I'll leave the astrology up to those that are good at that. That's,
not me. I'm not. I think I am. I think we all are. Just don't know it.
Yeah.
If you know the story of Jesus, you know astrology. Oh.
Facts.
Oh. Happy Easter, everyone. I know this is probably going to be out. I don't know when, like around Easter, probably right after. Or on Easter, like maybe you're like driving home. This would be good for people on their drive home for Easter because you can listen back to this.
I'll listen to it on my way back to it.
Yeah, so we need to put it out ASAP. Mary,
you better get to editing.
Mary, it's a lot of edits.
It is a lot of edits.
We gave you a lot of content, dude.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Phone calls,
rock and roll. That's right.
The more the merrier.
Man. Yeah,
it's good to see him though.
It was. Hear that voice. Man.
Man.
Yeah, playing with the
good times. Good times.
Yeah, hey, cut me. Yeah, check out Reggie's website. Check out our website, and happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Feliz Navidad.
Peace.
Happy Passover. Happy.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa.
That's it. Happy Christmas, Kwanzaa. The thing is how that one goes, right?
Yeah. Ishtar.
There you go.
Ishtar
Happy
eggs.
Ishtar. Yeah.
We're going to hide the Ishtar. We are hiding Ishtar eggs tomorrow.
All right.
But guess what's in them? It's not yolk.
Chocolate.
Money.
Oh, that's even better.
For the kids. They don't know it yet. We're trying to keep it a secret. Just say,
they ain't going to find none of them eggs because Reggie got all of them.
Yeah, Reggie's not seen that basket of eggs.
And I'm going to bring that money back. Say, here you go, Derek, pay your bills.
Oh, man.
Lord bless you.
Oh, Holy Ghost. Fire on your life.
Amen. Lord
you
bless you.
reap what you sow. So we're sowing money, right?
Sowing to the
fertility ritual has brought you much increase today,
Definitely have. I'm here today because of a fertility ritual that my parents performed in 1984.
Hey, there you go.
Or 1980s.
1984 or sometime before.
Before, yeah, because I'm in January, baby.
There you go.
Love you guys. Peace. Shalom. Hey, thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed. I want you to know that there is a video right here that you can watch a video right by me. Click this video.
No, don't click his video. Click my video. His video is probably about demons and dark stuff anyways. Mine's probably about angels and awesome stuff.
She has a point. So you decide, the demon or the angel. What do you go with?